In the last 30 days, one of my Instagram accounts has grown over 90,000 followers, and it will keep growing like that every single month. If you are able to use the strategy I'm about to reveal in this course, you will be guaranteed growth. Now, I do not want to make the same YouTube video 50 times repeating the same old stuff. So I'm giving you everything today in this full free course as a thank you for your support. Instagram changed my life, and it's time it does the same for you. Now, every single detail is important. I have tried and tested this across 20 plus pages in 20 different niches, helping countless creators and contributing to millions and millions of followers in the last 12 months alone. This is the key to growth, no BS. The first section is going to be all actionable growth hacking steps you can implement right now. There's no point me talking theory. If you can't take something away, implement it right now and begin seeing that growth. Let's grow. But first, who am I to be teaching you this course today? So my name is Alex. I was born in London, England, and my parents are Portuguese. So my full name is Alex, actually Alexandre. RE. Everyone gets that wrong. So essentially, 7 years ago, I was working a 9-to-5 like many of you. And I worked it for about 9 months and really didn't enjoy it. Although getting paid quite well for my age and for that time. At this point, I decided to quit my 9-to-5. The money was good, but I was working a lot. I was getting micromanaged, and I'm a creative person, and I just felt like that world wasn't for me. And for me personally, I had content creation experience, and I could see that there was potential in social media at that time. One of my friends was an upcoming fitness influencer. He was around 5,000 followers. So I thought, let me apply my content creation skills and learn social media marketing by managing his profile. And I literally went all in. I gave it everything, had no income at the beginning. And in about 6 to 7 months, we were able to go from 5,000 to 100,000 and went viral multiple times, appeared in loads of places, got brand deals, etc. And during that time, I fell in love with social media. The competition side of it, the depth of, really how, you can make things perform well, and, the difference between a good post and a bad post, so much different things. And during that time, I was exposed to faceless Instagram accounts. And then I started to grow a bunch of my own, which led me to opening a social media agency, which I successfully ran for a few years. Now, it was great fun, super hard work, but towards the end, I started to lose my passion, and I wanted to really have a new challenge and put my skills to the test. So I thought, I'm going to start a personal brand. And at that time, for some reason, I was watching some random Instagram, YouTube videos, and I thought, a lot of this that's being taught here is not really practical, and it's not great advice. And that essentially motivated me to create my first video. And now fast forward to the present day, I'm sitting at over 140,000 YouTube subscribers, over 3 million Instagram followers on my theme pages or faceless Instagram accounts, a few 100,000 on TikTok and YouTube for faceless pages too. I have a school community which has gained over 700,000 followers from zero for its members just in the last few months, and a variety of other projects that I'm working on day in, day out. If this course helps you in any way, be sure to let me know or share some love. Let's jump into it with the first phase, which is all about actionable steps that you can take right now. And the rest of the course is really going to give you everything you need to really do well, all for free. Let's jump into it. Actionable growth step number 1. Comment hacking. And this is something that everyone should be doing way more. Let me tell you why. So essentially, when we have a smaller account, especially if you're below 100,000 or below 10,000, your goal is to get more exposure. And that usually means, trying to get our reels on the explore page. But essentially, what we can do from very early on is interact with our competitors or big pages in our niche, which is essentially similar pages to ours. Now, for example, here I have a page called Vloggery, and this page right here is a big motivational page. What I would do, or what people do, is, for example, let me give you an example actually first. So let's say this video right here. Let me look at the comments. So from the comments, I can see that there are a few kind of comments. So this guy is basically doing comment hacking without me even knowing, but essentially 6 likes. So, and he's top comment, okay? And I'm sure that this guy is actually very similar. Yeah, he is, because he actually comments on some of my pages. But essentially what you want to look at is what the top comments are. And as a competitor, so for example, if I was growing an account in this niche, essentially my target audience is all here. And if I'm able to get a pinned post or the top comment on this kind of post, you know, everyone who checks the comments, which is a lot of people, will see me every time. And some people will press my profile. Okay. And here is another example from my school community. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But from Marwan, who essentially like a month ago, we had a call, one of our live sessions. And I really said, you know, we need to start doing this more. And this at the time we said viral hacking, but now I'm calling it comment hacking. And essentially he implemented it immediately. And since then, his page has started to grow. And you can see his page at that time was, you know, sub 20 followers, and now it's in the thousands. But you can see he started to get pinned on his competitors' posts. But it's not as easy as just posting or just writing any comment, you know. But you can see here, he started to get these top comments, 61 people liking it, 659 here. And this starts to accumulate. Now, here's the action steps that I want you to do. You need to find 5 to 10 competitors. 5 is fine. You want to find accounts that are big accounts that usually get quite a few comments or get a good amount of views on their reels or posts. You can use tools like the Instagram suggested accounts to kind of find this. If you're struggling, go to a competitor, press suggested accounts, and you should see easily 5 to 10 there. Now, this is the key. You see, with the example I showed you with Marwan, he's actually giving valuable quotes that actually apply to that kind of video, which means that people are going to, who are watching it, who like the video, are going to resonate with that comment. So don't just kind of post like, I like this video, I like this post, or great post. You know, that's generic, that's ChatGPT. We want to give something interesting. So you have a few different options here. Either go with the same tone as the post like Marwan has done, or be comedic, be valuable, be insightful, share your own experiences, anything that is going to make people press like, which then is going to give you the top rank and then start to get people onto your profile. This compounds. If you do this 3 times a day and just a few comments each time, imagine how these comments will start getting likes. After a few weeks, it just starts to get more and more exposure to your account. And I've been seeing a lot of accounts doing this, and those accounts that do this on some of my bigger pages that always commenting, I'm seeing them growing, okay? And I know for a fact this works, and in a lot of niches, apart from motivation, people are not doing this. This only takes a few minutes every single day. Another tip for this is to turn on post notifications so that when some of these big accounts post, you can get notified and then you can be one of the first to comment. Try to be one of the first to comment within the first few hours. Remember, share something valuable, avoid generic comments, and enjoy that additional exposure. Growth is a compounding effect. And this was my first choice because I feel like a lot of people are not doing this, and I see the people do it, get results. Next up, we have the trials feature, which is a new feature which Instagram has just kind of released and is still releasing to everyone. On one of my accounts, I have the feature available. And basically what this feature does is it will show your content or your reel to non-followers for around 24 hours. So this is a way to test your content on a kind of cold audience, which is super important because at the end of the day, for us to grow our page, we need to be exposed to a cold audience. So we can't just be focusing on satisfying our current audience. So essentially, this feature is a pure growth focused feature. And to basically do it, you're just going to go on a reel, press next, and then you will see right at the top, it should say new, and then it should say trial. So if I just kind of press trial, you'll see try out content with a new audience using trial reels. Show a trial reel to non-followers to get early feedback on whether your content resonates. So that's a great sign. You'll see key insights within 24 hours after sharing so that you can understand how your trial reel is performing. Trial reels don't appear on your profile. Some followers may still see your trial reel, such as when someone shares it with them. So it's super useful. I would actually start using it a few times a week for sure. So for example, maybe 30-40% of the time. Or if it works well for you, keep using it. Especially if you're a smaller account, I think this is a great new feature designed by Instagram for you to grow. So start using trials and integrate it into your flow. Use it 30 to 50% of the time. The next actionable step is posting times, but it's not about, you need to post at this time or post at this time. It's about understanding how to actually target your audience. Now, the first thing I want to say is, of course, posting time matters, but of course, your content matters more. If you post an unbelievable video at 2 a.m. at a random time, it's most likely that that video will still perform well. But as I've said, Instagram growth is a compounding effect. So if you can do the right strategies at the right time, it's just going to all add up. And a lot of people are not posting at the right times. And this is how you actually do it right now, the best way. First of all, who are you targeting? So a lot of people are targeting the US market, and people are often asking, how do I do that? The first thing is you need to know your time zone, which is simple. You literally go on Google, type in your country where you are right now and type in my time zone. Once you know that, it's even easier. So for example, you would go to this website right here, World Time Buddy. Okay, so for example, if I'm in London right now and it's 3:47 p.m. and it's telling me Cairo, Moscow, but let's say I want to target New York. And you can see that it will tell me, okay, so it's 3 p.m. right now, or 3:48, nearly 4 p.m. So in New York right now, it's 11 a.m. Good morning. And essentially, this is how I would cross-reference this. Now, let's focus on New York. Essentially, there are 3 peak times every single day, okay? And that's the morning, lunchtime, and evening. In the morning, essentially when people are waking up or going to work, traveling, they're checking their phones, you might want to post at that time if you have a motivational page or something that has to do with it. So the times for the morning are around 6:30 a.m. until 8:30 a.m. New York time. So what you would do is go to 8:30 9 a.m. or around 7 a.m. and I can see, okay, that's 12 p.m. for me. So I would post around at that time. And then the next peak time is lunchtime, when the majority of people are on their break, having lunch, again, might be scrolling. So you'd post at that time. So I would just go onto here and look at 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. and I can see that that's basically 5-6 p.m. for me. And that's usually sometimes when I post. And then if I want to post their evening, which is slightly later, or you can see here, 7, 8, 9 p.m., you can see that that's 1, 2 a.m. for me. So those are kind of the peak times and how to cross-check this. Now, here are the mistakes that people are making with their posting times. Guys, when you're posting, everyone is posting at 1 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 4 p.m. The algorithm and the platform is getting bombarded with people that post at that specific time. Be more loose with your posting time. So let's say I want to post at 9 p.m. I'm not going to post at exactly 9 p.m. I'm going to post at maybe 8:47 or 9:13, around that time, so that I have my own opportunity with slightly less people posting. This is just a small tweak to your kind of idea when it comes to posting. And the next thing is, when you have this opportunity, when you post, I would actually take this opportunity to do comment hacking, to go and reply to some of the people that have commented on your stuff, to go onto some competitors' accounts and comment on theirs. This is the kind of perfect 5-minute window to get a few things done. So habit stacking some of these growth actionable steps is a great strategy. So with posting times, don't overcomplicate it. Post at those peak times, cross-check it on one of these world clock converters, and you're essentially ready to go. And one bonus tip here is, some people will be like, New York, 9 p.m. is like 4 a.m. my time. Guys, don't make, social media your life and kind of make your whole world about it and start waking up at 4 a.m. or something like that. It's important for you to make sure it fits around your schedule. So if that's the case, you're in a kind of situation like that, just post right before bed. So before you go to bed, post. At the end of the day, as I said right at the beginning in terms of this posting, if your post is good, it's going to get engagement. If your post is good, it's going to do well. We're just habit stacking with these posting time suggestions, but essentially don't let this algorithm, don't let this social media game dictate your life. Post when you can, try to post at different times. And if you're new and your account is super new, test different times. Try some peak times in the morning, try some in the lunchtime, try some in the evening. It's about testing, it's about being flexible and finding what works for you. Do not be dictated by things that only matter a small bit. Okay, so next up we have the account training and gold mine stash. Now, this is critical. One of the biggest mistakes I see people doing is still using their profile as a personal profile to like random things that has nothing to do with their kind of account or their growth or their audience. Let's change this. Let's apply the right things right now so that you can start turning your account into something that gives you information and also gives out the right information. So whether you're a new account or an existing account, if your explore page does not show you similar content to the content that you post, then your account is not optimized and it's not warmed up properly. Okay, so for example, if I take out my phone and go on one of my accounts, so let's say I'll go on Crevion, I'm going to screen record. I'm going to go and press the explore button. So you can see on Crevion right here, I press that and you can see the explore page right there. It's literally everything there is essentially very similar to the niche that I'm in. Now, this is easy to do. Even if you have an existing account or a new account, you could do this right now. What you need to do is 3 times a day, go onto Instagram and start to like and save. You only need to do it like 5 times each time. Content that is in this category. So for example, if you're motivational storytelling, then you need to start liking, saving content in that category. If you're in fitness, if you're in calisthenics, if you're in, I don't know, coffee beans, whatever it is, you need to really start to do that because there is multiple reasons why you want your explore page to look like this. For the first one is so you can see what's trending. The second, so that you have endless content ideas. One of the best ways to get ideas is from other pages. And everything here is on the explore page, which means it's performing well. This also gives you insight in terms of creativity. So I can see kind of like how people are doing their thumbnails, why this is the best of the best here, basically. So I can see, okay, you know what? I need to do my thumbnails like this. And this, no matter what kind of niche you're in, you need to be doing this. This is like basically free education, free resources that we need to be using. A lot of you don't know, but you can actually save this content. So this content that I'm talking about, that we save a few times a day, if I actually go to it and press save, you can actually save this into folders. So save to collections. And you can see that comes up and I can have a collection. So for example, if I have a collection for audios, I can put audios and I can save those audios. If it's a script, if it's, I don't know, the thumbnail. So I can start saving these in collection names. And anytime I need something from one of those, I'll just go and grab it. And this is so underrated. I know a lot of you are not doing this and you need to start organizing it this way. Avoid aimlessly scrolling, okay? If your goal is to grow your account, you need to position your mind into, okay, I'm like treating this like a business. I'm treating this, to grow. So if you want to kind of scroll and look at random things, meme accounts, whatever it is, do that on a different account. Okay. Do that elsewhere. This account is here for growth. And when you log into this account, it's time to grow. So let's do kind of only take actions that kind of complement that growth goal. Next up is mastering IG audios. Audio is still huge on Instagram, as audio really takes your reels and your content to a whole new level. And now we can add them to carousels, swipe posts. So audio is more important than ever. But how do we find audio? There are 4 different places. Okay, so the first place to find audio is these 2 buttons right here, which is the reel button and the explore page button. So essentially, these 2 sections are best performing reels in your niche that get shown to you. So more often than not, these reels and these audios are all trending or potential to trend. So even if you can't see the plus sign, which means trending, you can assume that this audio is good. There is something about it that people like. So what you want to do if you want to use it, you have 2 options here. Is actually press that audio. You can press use audio. You can save that audio with this button right here, or you can actually copy the link of the video, download it, and then put it onto your editing software, extract the audio and delete the video clip, and then you can edit to that audio directly, then come back and press use audio, or you can just leave it as an original audio. It doesn't really matter too much. You can kind of A/B test that 50-50, but essentially this place right here is probably the best place to find it. But here are 3 other options that are super good as well. So following up on point 1, the second option is essentially following trendsetters or popular accounts that do well with their audio. Usually big accounts and trendsetters, they put a lot of effort into their videos. So if they're putting a lot of effort into their videos, then they're going to be putting a lot of effort into their audios. So you can assume that a lot of their audios are well selected and can be used by you to grow. So trendsetters and popular creators, make a note of who they are, if you like their audios, or if you could, use them for inspiration, save them. The third place is TikTok. TikTok was designed to revolutionize short form content. And one of the key fundamentals of it was the audio. So TikTok still has so much trending audio, audio is going viral, etc. And often it happens before it actually happens on Instagram. So if you can actually kind of do research, follow a few trendsetters on there, then you could be one of the first to use audios on Instagram in your particular niche. And that can help you go viral. If people start to use your audio, then you get way more exposure. It's the compound effect that I keep mentioning. And it's a great way to find these audios before other competitors. So TikTok, do not sleep on it. The final place is a creator account. In the creator account, you should be able to see trending audios and a list of them that you can use how you want. Now, before I move away from audios, it's important to know with audio, you have a range of different options, and it's important to always match it to your video. Don't have a deep motivational video and then you're playing a kind of super energetic song. Just make sure it matches. And if you're willing to use AI voices, then here are 3 really good AI voice providers: 11 Labs, Play HT, and Motion Array. I'm not sponsored by any of them. They're just great options. But of course, always focus on the visuals, and the audio is kind of secondary. But they are both super important, and it's almost like a tennis racket, tennis bat. They go super complementary. Next is switching to creator account. This is the best account to be in for growth. You get better trending audios, you get better analytics, and everything you need to kind of push and get back from Instagram. What you need to do is go to profile, go to settings, go to account, go to professional account, and change to creator. Then you can choose a creator category, whether it's health coach or digital creator. You can actually hide this, so this doesn't need to be visible to, the public. But you'll get a range of benefits, including what I mentioned about the trending audio and enhanced analytics, giving you better information for posting times, etc. So switch to a creator account today. Next up is collaborations. Now, this is a semi-new feature, but collaborating is still a great way to get additional exposure. Now, I'm going to say it again, the compounding effect. Instagram, especially in your growth kind of phase, is about using all the different tools you have available to compound. Here are a few different ways to find potential accounts to collaborate. For collaborating, you essentially go on your reel or your carousel and you will go down and press tag people. From there, you can press invite collaborators. So once you've agreed with someone or it's your other account, you can press invite collaborators. And essentially what will happen is that post will appear to both feeds. So for example, if you have 20,000 followers and you collaborate with someone else who has 20,000, then you will be exposed to a larger audience. This is so useful for exposure. To find people to collaborate with, you can actually reach out to accounts in your niche that are similar to you, drop them a message, hey, I love your account, would love to collaborate, something like that. Obviously make it more personable, more who you are. But also there are other places like my Discord and my new free community, 100K creator. In there, I will have a collab tag where you can go in there and say, I've got this type of account and I'm looking for someone who wants to collaborate. And then in the DMs, you guys can kind of sort it out. But that's something that I'm definitely going to be encouraging because I think anyone below 100K should be collaborating sometimes 100%. So the link will be in the description for the free community, but essentially, you can collaborate with anyone you want. You can reach out to accounts. You can reach out to potentially even bigger accounts. If that happens, do not sleep on collaborating. Again, it's the compounding effect. Instagram is plagued, unfortunately, by bot accounts, and this is one of the reasons why warming up your account and everything I explain in my videos really is important. But, being able to actually remove your bot followers can be super useful for your engagement stats. And here is exactly how you can do it if you want to. Now, this is not something you need to do religiously, keep removing your bot followers, but it's something sometimes, once a month or every so often to cleanse your account. What you need to do is go to settings, then privacy, then how others interact with your accounts, and then filter spam followers. And essentially here you will be able to kind of do what we discussed. The benefits are that this can improve your engagement and algorithm ranking. So if you feel like this is something that could be affecting you, go and check it out. Next up is carousels, aka swipes. Now, this is something that is popping right now. Instagram had a period where it was really focusing on competing with TikTok and, all of this short form content, but now it's going a bit more back to its roots, and single graphics and carousels swipes are starting to get more exposure. So it's super useful to add this to your strategy. Here we have Ideas Lab Global, who again is someone in my school community and who has a great account for upcoming entrepreneurs. Now, he uses swipes a lot and you can see how effective they kind of are. The good thing about swipes is, compared to potentially a single graphic, is that basically the way the algorithm works, even for these types of posts, is that it's about watch time. So the longer I stay on this post, the more the algorithm is going to think, this person actually likes it. And the reason that occurs is because there is more for me to see, more for me to digest compared to a single graphic. A single graphic needs to be kind of epic to get that engagement, whereas this is a kind of cheat code to make sure that you get that engagement that you desire. Now, something that's super important with carousels right now is to actually add audio to carousels. The exact same way you add audio to reels, you can add it to your carousels. This adds additional layers to your package, meaning that as someone is reading everything, you can have the right song to kind of make them go into a trance. All of these little factors, even if it's 5% better engagement, it adds up. So adding reels, creating carousels, adding this to your strategy is going to help you grow right now. Now, I do have this video right here on my channel, which goes into content creation for carousels. So maybe you can open that and watch that later. We're still not done. But essentially, creating carousels, adding them to your strategy is super, super important. This is what you need to do. The first one needs to be your hook. So for example, make it bold, make it loud, and make people want to press it. So if you're a fitness page and you're giving people tips, it could be something like 5 tips to grow your biceps now. The best biceps exercises of 2025, whatever it might be. The best bicep tip, don't say the date. The best bicep tips of this year. Anything that is going to capture someone in. Once they're in, then you share the value. And the final thing I'm going to say about carousels, which is one of the reasons that I love it so much, is because the final swipe, so the final slide of your swipe, you can add a CTA. So for example, I believe Ideas Lab did it right here. Want to learn? Comment step for this PDF from one of the world's leading universities. So the person has gone through this funnel to the CTA, the call to action, telling them to do something. You could have this kind of CTA where you're telling them to comment something, or you can actually have your product. Go to my bio to buy this hoodie, go to this to buy this hat, whatever it is. But this gives you more flexibility when it comes to selling. Do not sleep on carousels. Start trying to implement them in your strategy. If you're posting only reels right now, don't think, okay, I need to suddenly start posting loads of carousels. No, slowly ease into it. Add 1-2 a week and keep going. Use my free school community to share your carousels, to get feedback on them, to see if people like them. You know, the pre-validation phase is super, super important, but don't sleep on swipes, aka carousels. The final actionable step is repurposing your old content. Now, this is something that we just don't do enough. We're always focusing on new, but repurposing old content has so many advantages to it. Here's 3 things you need to do. The first thing is review analytics. So if you've posted 30 times in the last month and 5 of them have performed really well, or 5 of them have a lot more saves or shares, then you need to think and look at that content and think, how can I repackage this? And that could be a new thumbnail. It could be a new audio. It really depends on the content that you're creating, but repackaging it by doing small differences or trying to enhance it from the previous version, trust me, goes a long way. I see this constantly across YouTube, across Instagram, and across TikTok from big creators. But, smaller creators don't do this. Once you post, you think, I can never use this again. You're wrong. Use it again, just repackage it, change one element. And this applies exactly the same for carousels. I'm not just talking reels. If you have a carousel or a reel or a single post that has performed well, change 1, 2, 3 elements, and you have a new package of existing content that has clearly performed well before. Now, what I recommend is to do this once a month. So don't, post something and then 5 days later post again. Wait at least a month and you are ready to go. And you can just do this cycle. Okay, so we've talked about actionable steps that you can start today. Now, the next section is going to be about, drumroll, the algorithm. Now, before you run away, let me tell you something. The algorithm is important to understand, and I'm about to break it down. Essentially, the algorithm is what controls our growth. To grow, our content needs to get likes, it needs to get saves, it needs to get all of that stuff. And who dictates that? It's the algorithm. So after the algorithm section of this course, we're going to dive into other things, such as making sure that your bio is ready for growth and all other aspects that you probably want to hear about. But this part is super important, as if you want to create a pizza, you need to get the ingredients, you need to get a recipe, you need to understand how to set up that dough. You need to create the tomato sauce. So if we want to grow, we need to know the elements that go into that. We can take actionable steps, we can create content, but why? what's the purpose. And the algorithm is going to basically give us an understanding of kind of this whole ecosystem that Instagram has. So let's dive into this. It's time to grow. Okay, so I've created this super clear construct on Miro of how the algorithm works. So let's start from right here at the top and start breaking it down so that you understand exactly what you're doing. And however long this part is of the algorithm, guys, it's so important for you to digest this and just understand. Trust me, when you understand that 1 + 1 = 2, it becomes so much easier. Okay, so how does the algorithm work? The algorithm is like a smart assistant which decides what you see on your feed, on your stories, on the explore page. There is something that is deciding what happens. Its job is primarily to make sure that it shows you content that you are going to engage with, to like, to share, to enjoy. Think of it this way. Instagram has billions of posts being uploaded every single day, and it makes sure that you only see the posts that it thinks you will be interested in. And you might be wondering or might know why. And why is that? Because these platforms are designed to hook you in. The longer you stay on the platform, the more possibilities and more money that they will make. Essentially, as you can see here, its main job is to keep people inside the platform. Now, let's actually try to kind of understand how. So it's 4 basically main things. So the first thing is it watches your behavior. So it looks at what posts you like, comment on, share, saves, which accounts you interact with, DMs, content, etc. So you would, earlier in the course, we talked about, setting up your account or account training, warming up your account. Essentially works like this. This is all connected. So a lot of what we're talking about, you'll think, oh, Alex spoke about this, spoke about that. It all connects. Okay. Now, the next thing is, so watches your behavior. So from your interactions, it will understand things. Then it learns about your preferences. So if you like a lot of dog videos, it will show you more dog related posts. If you save posts about travel, your explore page might show you more travel destinations. Then from this, it starts to rank content. The algorithm scores every post based on how relevant or interesting it thinks it is for you. The higher the score, the more likely it is to show up at the top of your feed. Okay, so let's say you haven't been on Instagram for a few hours and you go onto Instagram. All of those top posts that you're suddenly seeing straight away, they have been ranked the highest out of this pool of content to basically hook you in. The algorithm thinks that that is the best content for you right now to get you watching. Okay, so this is as a viewer. From the other side, if you're posting, Instagram will test your post with a small group of your followers first. If they engage, like, comment, share, save, Instagram will show it to more people. That's why engagement, of course, is something that we're always chasing, because the algorithm kind of feeds off that. But let's keep going and kind of look at this a bit deeper. It ranks content. Now you understand the basics. Let's look at the Instagram algorithm in detail. And if you're a beginner, this is still important. Trust me. Okay, so here we have an Instagram logo. And as we go down, what does the algorithm look at? Okay, so the algorithm considers several factors to decide which post to show you. So this is more from a viewer perspective. If we don't know how the viewer is interacting with the platform, for a top marketer, you need to kind of know that. And even for someone, if you're not like a top marketer, or you want to be a marketer, or you simply want to grow an account, it's still important to understand how the viewers are interacting with the platform. So, okay. So here we have relationship, content type, timing, and relevance. So the first one is relationship. If you frequently interact with someone's account, likes, comments, DMs, Instagram assumes you want to see more from them. The next one is content type. The algorithm notices what type of content you engage with most, e.g. reels, carousels, stories, and shows you more of that. So timing. Posts shared when you're more active are likely to appear in your feed. So again, timing, another important factor. Instagram looks at what's trending in your niche and shows you similar content. So relationship, content type, timing, and relevance, all super important factors. The algorithm considers several factors to decide which post to show you, but more than these elements, key engagement signals. So these are more, theoretic or like bird's eye view kind of ideas, but what really matters. This is where things start getting interesting. So the 4 factors or key engagement signals. The first one is up here, which is essentially watch time. So watch time, you can see here, this is directly from Instagram on one of my accounts, I believe. So longer watch durations indicate higher view interest. Aim to create content that retains attention, such as storytelling reels or well-paced carousel posts. So for example, earlier when I spoke about the carousels, they tend to do well because there's numerous swipes on them, meaning people's watch time on that particular post will be higher. The longer someone stays on your individual post, the better the algorithm is going to receive it. Now, something interesting to this is that this also applies to captions. If your caption is informative, there's extra information, then you are increasing the amount of time that someone stays on your post. That's why in a lot of my videos, I'm talking about captions, etc., because I do believe when a caption is done right, even if the person stays an extra 10, 20, 30% on that post, it can make the difference between going viral and not. So watch time, that's why you hear about retention editing, all of this retention editing, because every second, everything in that post is important. That's why sometimes it's better to do shorter instead of just dragging it out. And essentially, it's not always about average watch time in terms of seconds, but rather a percentage. So for example, if your, reel is 10 seconds long, the algorithm might view it as, for example, okay, they've watched 80% of this, okay? Okay, so the next thing is engagement metrics. Now, this is the classic, what everyone knows, which is likes, comments, shares, and saves. Likes, basic indicator of an audience approval, but less impactful than other metrics. To like something, you just double tap. It's the easiest one to kind of get. Whereas then it's comments. Signals deeper engagement, especially thoughtful or lengthy comments, okay? Comments, for someone to comment on your post, they need to really hate it, or they need to really love it, connect with it, want to tag someone, etc. And especially if they give more insightful comments, etc., then it means they really love it. And this is going to, again, make the algorithm kind of understand things. And a lot of even with comments, you can use captions to incentivize comments. You can use your actual reels to incentivize comments. Sometimes on storytelling pages, on some of my pages, I'll put like comment this at the end of my reel if you agree or something like that. And this is all kind of ways to increase our engagement, to increase our chances of getting growth content. Then we have shares, okay? So shares shows content relevance as viewers shares posts that find valuable or relatable. Now, shares are probably the biggest factor right now in terms of going viral, in terms of a video doing well, because for someone to want to share that post, it means that they're really like, they're vouching for it. Like this post is either good or bad or whatever, but there's a reason that I want you to kind of watch this, and you're going to get a whole new person watching that reel or that carousel. So shares are basically the number one factor right now. Of course, watch time, etc. is super important, but in terms of these 4, I would say shares is the most important. Shares can be, something that's funny, memes. The reason meme stuff does so well a lot of the time is because it gets a ton of shares. Obviously, there's negative factors about sharing meme pages, such as, people don't connect as much, they don't buy as much, but they tend to go super viral. So, there's pros and cons to everything. The final one is saves. One of the strongest signals of content value. Users save content they plan to revisit. So this works great in the educational space. If you're in the fitness space, food space, if you're sharing recipes, workouts, tips and tricks, whatever, or motivation, like saves are really, really useful. And if you can understand ways to get people to save content, I think there's a real kind of, once you start to really understand your audience and stuff and start to see your content, the analytics, okay, this one got 50 saves, whereas all of my other content is only got maybe 2-3 saves. Why does this one in particular have saves? And then it's about kind of starting to break that down. So saves are a super important, factor. Then we have plays and replays. Again, plays and replays, essentially particularly important for videos content like Reels. Replays suggest high viewer interest, using looping elements or cliffhangers to encourage replays. So again, if someone is watching your video 2-3 times, that's just going to indicate to the algorithm that this content is fire. Like so often on short form content, TikTok, Instagram, etc., YouTube Shorts, we're competing for 3 seconds of someone's time. Like, after a few seconds, they go. So for someone to sit there and watch your whole video for a few times, that is going to be a massive indicator to the algorithm. So we really, really want plays and replays. So essentially using looping elements, like making them shorter. Essentially, when you mean a loop, it means like that it's edited in a way that the end kind of connects with the start, so the person doesn't necessarily know that it's ended. That's why sometimes when people add fades or make it clear that the video has ended, it doesn't always benefit you. So sometimes trying to think of more of a loop style editing towards the end can work for you better. But you see, all of these elements that we're discussing in the algorithm, like, if you're a beginner, if you're still learning Instagram, this is all so important, to take note of. Okay, the next video that I'm going to create, I'm going to test creating something more that's going to get saves. I'm going to try and do, try and get more of a loop on this video. These are all elements that we need to be testing. And I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, compound effects. Okay. Now, the next thing is profile visits. Posts that drive viewers to your profile, e.g. via curiosity or valuable content, boost overall account performance. Of course, because people will go onto that profile and press follow. And we're going to discuss this later, where when someone goes on your profile, it needs to be optimized. It needs to be ready to kind of capture that person. Like, there's nothing worse than having a great video going viral, loads of people going on your profile, but your profile doesn't look good and you're just losing a ton of followers. So we're going to discuss that later in the video, but profile visits is a great indicator. And when you start to monetize your account, if you want me to create a monetization course in the future, let me know in the comments. But, when you start monetizing your account, it's so important to get profile visits and for that to be optimized. So profile visits not only helps for growth, but of course it's going to help turn that into a business, which I guess for most of us is the goal. So these 4 key engagement signals are super, super important. And do not forget about these. If you need to screenshot this video, if you need to break down, whatever it is. So let's go down. So how does Instagram decide who sees your post? It's a great question. So Instagram follows a 4-step process. So essentially, step 1 is initial test group. So let me move this in. Let me scroll in actually. So Instagram shows your post to 10 to 20% of your most engaged followers. These are people who often like, comment, or interact with your content. Okay, so these are like your loyal fans. Step 2 is evaluate engagement. So from this, Instagram will be able to measure how this group has responded to your post. Are they liking? Are they commenting? Are they sharing? Are they saving? How quickly are they engaging after your post? So for example, if this loyal group of people, if you post and no one's liking it, this loyal group, then something must be off. Or if suddenly everyone is liking it, then something must be right. And then step 3 from here is expanding the audience. So if the initial group engages well, Instagram shows your post to more of your followers. Non-followers through the explore page, this is how you start to really start suddenly, when you go on so for example, let's say you post a reel and it's got 200 views, but you've started to get a few likes, then it suddenly goes to like 2,000, and that's basically it's starting to pass these different stages. So essentially, posts with high engagement get boosted, reaching a wider audience. Posts with low engagement are shown to fewer people. At the end of the day, as I said slightly earlier, Instagram is getting billions of posts a day. And you can see from how I'm kind of explaining the algorithm, it's competitive. Instagram, the algorithm is trying to capture everyone's attention. So if you are able to deliver the right piece of content that actually captures people, then it's going to use that more and more. You're working with Instagram to keep people on the platform. And if you're posting bad content, then it won't show your account, it won't show your, content to them. So you need to really think as, Instagram as your ally in this. Now, how can you succeed knowing that this is kind of the phases or the test period that Instagram does? So the first thing is focusing on saves and shares. So as I said slightly earlier, saves and shares, especially shares, are the two for me, or as most of us know, are the factors that we really want to like build on and want. If there's anything we want, it shouldn't be likes. Likes will happen, but like we should focus our mind on trying to get saves or trying to get saved shares. So even when you're creating content, something for me is like, what one am I prioritizing here? Which one am I targeting? Of course, you can target both and you will get saves and shares, but creating content with a purpose, which is a massive thing for me. Like, am I trying to get shares here or am I trying to get saves? And this applies, to be honest, for YouTube, Instagram, everything, you should create content with a purpose. But especially for Instagram right now, these two are key. Now, so for example, here are some CTAs that you could use. So use CTAs that prompt revisits to get more followers. So follow for more posts, want to drop a follow for more, drop a follow. Now, essentially, these, I'll be honest with you, these are generic ones, okay? I do believe that we can actually do better than these. These are kind of just basic CTAs, okay? Like, I think this is basically the niche dependent. So for example, if you're building a community of warriors, warrior mentality and this type of stuff, then you can be like, join the warrior mentality, I don't know, community. There's ways to enhance this that apply to whatever you're trying to do. So, this is generic, do better than this, but this is an example of CTAs that you can add to your captions. To get more leads and sales, these ones there, click the link in my bio. Again, these are generic and you want to apply them to your niche, okay? And you can even use ChatGPT to help you with that. To get more likes and saves, double tap if you agree. Enjoy watching, leave a like, save this for later. Save it so you don't forget, found this helpful save. So these are pretty common and these pretty much work. But again, if you can build your own strategy around these, it will work even better for you. At the end of the day, as I just said, it's about creating content with a purpose and creating content that is actually shareable. So, you want people to somehow speak about your brand, and brand building is a whole new thing, but essentially we all should be trying to build a brand and creating content with the purpose of shares. So if you have a motivational page, and it's like a deep quote that is about a best friend, you can guess that quote might get more shares than talking individually to someone, because suddenly you're mentioning a best friend and people might start sharing it with their friends. So you see, small things like that make the difference. And it doesn't need to be every single post about best friends, but to have this in your strategy, like twice a week I'm going to do a best friend post or something like that, is going to compound. And again, I'm going to keep saying it, it's this compound effect of all these different variables that add up. Okay, so this is a bonus tip or section, real quick, for shareability, because shareability is the number one factor. I wanted to drop this as I was going through the final video, I wanted to add this in quickly because shareability is so important and understanding the algorithmic section is super important. But listen to this. So when content is shared, there are three parties, okay? There is the creator, there is the sharer, and there is the recipient. So there's three people in that kind of equation. Now, why don't people share, or why do people share? Okay, so essentially, people share content that reflects their personality, okay? So reflects their personality, values, or beliefs. Remember that. If the content doesn't align with their self-image, they won't share it. For example, a professional might hesitate to share a meme if it feels unprofessional or off-brand for them, even if they find it funny, okay? Sharing content is often a way to signal something about themselves to their audience: intelligence, humor, empathy, expertise, or that they are inspirational or have a similar mindset. Okay, then you want to think about the recipient, relevance. Sharers think about how the recipient will perceive the content. They are almost ambassadors of your content. If they can't imagine the recipient liking, benefiting from, or resonating with it, they won't bother. For example, a funny but niche joke might not be shared because it's too specific to the sharer's general audience. So when you are creating your content, remember this. Yeah, people might not share because fear of judgment, lack of emotional impact, irrelevance, poor design or presentation. Might be all off brand for people. How to get more shares? Understand the sharer's role. Create with the recipient in mind. That is like crazy. As in, once we start processing this, you can tell I just had a coffee, but once you start processing this, and I just quickly set everything up so that I could drop this fire for you, remove barriers. So let me just go through that again. You can tap into this three-party connection by addressing the following. Understand the sharer's role. Create with the recipient in mind. And I'm going through this like through my slide as I say this, but you'll be just listening to this section because I'm literally throwing in this last minute. Create with the recipient in mind. Remove barriers. Keep the content visually appealing, clear, or concise. Avoid overly niche or overly general content. Find a sweet spot where it resonates widely while feeling personal. Amplify emotional triggers. Content that evokes strong emotions, joy, awe, hope, anger, curiosity is more likely to be shared. Use hooks like tag someone who needs this. If you have a super inspirational story, you can drop that in the captions somewhere. The mind shift that I want you to have just from this little bonus clip that I've added. The sharer must feel personally connected to the content. Identity alignment. The sharer must believe it will create a positive interaction or reaction with the recipient. Recipient relevance. By designing content that makes both the sharer and the recipient feel good, creators can foster a loop where sharing becomes natural and frequent. Let's go back to the algorithm. Now let's move on and go all the way down. So let's just see where we are. Yes, okay, perfect. So how does the algorithm differ across features? So the algorithm, as I mentioned right at the start, you've got the explore page, you've got stories, etc. So each one has its own algorithm. Yes, it gets more complicated. I'm joking. It's not complicated. Come on. So the first one is stories. So stories, yes, has its own algorithm. So the stories that you see at the top of your page, they are there again with a purpose. There is virtually nothing on Instagram that is there by accident. Okay, so everything is there with a purpose. Now, stories, highlights accounts you engage with often. The more engaging your stories, polls, questions, DMs, the higher they'll rank. Using stories is a great way to further get your brand, your page in the eyes or in front of your target audience. Okay. Something that's important for us to not do is to just be super repetitive with our stories, only sell in our stories, only tell people to follow in our stories. People are not stupid, guys. Like if if they can predict your story before pressing your story, why are they going to press your story? Be unpredictable with your stories. Okay, sometimes share some value, sometimes do something different behind the scenes, polls, questions, DMs, whatever it is. Okay, if you want me to make a video dedicated to stories, let me know in the comments. But story feed is super important, and that's why sometimes you'll see only particular people in your stories and you might never see them on the feed because their stories might be popping, but their feed content might not be as good. So the next one is the feed, which is, obviously where a lot of us are trying to be. Prioritizes posts from accounts you interact with the most. Shows posts based on recent activity and engagement. So, recent activity, what you've done recently, how recently they've posted, how recently you've engaged with them. And this is essentially your home feed. Then you have the reels. Focuses on watch time, replays, and shares. The goal is to show you entertaining and engaging content. If you press that reel button, or essentially, if you press that reel button, that's suddenly where it's like competing with TikTok. This is retention city. It's like, this is the best reels we have right now. We want you to spend half an hour just scrolling through these reels. So this is where it gets like, not more technical, but this is where stuff like watch time, replays, shares matters. And then finally, we have the explore page, which is, been around for a long time. And we've all heard it if you're watching this video, based on what you've liked, saved, or engaged with, tailored to show you content similar to your interests. So, when you've warmed up your account, when you've trained your account properly, you'll start to see loads of content that's similar because the algorithm says, okay, he likes this style of content. I'm going to show him more of this so that he stays on. But on the explore page, the difference between the reels kind of section is you will see carousels, you'll see graphics, you'll see more of a mixture of content. But all of these, we should be kind of focusing on all of these. Obviously, to begin with, I would personally say, really, you want to kind of get your reel strategy down and start focusing on reels. Then naturally it will start kind of going here, especially when you introduce carousels. And then over time, kind of you want to do feed is, I think, happens naturally. For me personally, I'd say, what you really want to start off concentrating on this, because this will get you to a higher kind of level quickly. And then naturally it will progress to explore page, as I said, with, additional content, single graphics, carousels, which are swipes. And then the feed will happen naturally. And then once you kind of establish that, you've got momentum, then you can start adding stories. Don't add stories as your initial strategy. It's too much. We've spoken about content hacking. We've spoken about this, that, this, people burn out when people give them strategies of 50,000 different things you need to do. Stories is not one of them you need to do at the beginning to grow. If you're already established, you have momentum, then start throwing in some stories here and there. But it's important to build up, okay? So don't like, okay, I'm going to start posting stories. I need to post 3 times a day. No, just start a few times a week. Then next week you can do once a day if it goes well, if you enjoy the process, if you find a strategy. Right, so now how does the algorithm differ across features? Perfect. Now let's talk about initial distribution of posts. So let's look a bit more into this. So Instagram begins, we spoke about this, we're going to go a bit deeper now because this again is the key and super important. Instagram begins by testing your post with 10 to 20% of your most engaged followers. The performance within this initial group determines whether the post will reach a broader audience, your remaining followers or non-followers, okay? So algorithm pathways. So essentially here we have different pathways. So low engagement and high engagement. Now, these are one of my accounts, but obviously for most of us, this is, even on my personal brand right now, coming soon, more content, stay tuned. But yeah, this is still great numbers, but essentially for this account, this was low and this is high engagement. So it will decide it that strictly. This is low engagement, this is high engagement, and here's what's going to happen. So if you get low engagement, your post doesn't gain sufficient engagement. The algorithm reduces its visibility and picks from the other 1 billion posts that have been posted that day. The post may not reach all your followers, limiting its growth potential. Consistently low performing posts can negatively affect your account's overall reach and algorithmic ranking. So if I'm constantly posting low engagement stuff, then at the end of the day, the algorithm is a business. It's a machine, and it's thinking, why am I going to carry on posting this? Every single time I share his content, it doesn't get the engagement it needs. That's why warming up your account, understanding all of these elements matter. So many people, are just, not just posting, just randomly posting anything, no strategy. You don't need to have a deep strategy, but understanding these fundamentals will allow you to have posts that perform well. So on the flip side, you have high engagement. If your post performs well within the initial group, it's shown to a larger audience, including followers who haven't engaged recently and non-followers through the explore page or potentially hashtags and other of those kinds of features. High performing posts may also be featured on home feeds or discover pages. This cycle creates a viral loop, more engagement, more reach, even more engagement. It's literally that kind of loop. And, that's why sometimes people will be like, oh, I reached 10,000 views, but it didn't kind of, carry on from there because it reached the end of its cycle. So it reached a point in that cycle where it just didn't receive the right engagement to pass that barrier. It's almost like, in the Olympics when people are doing hurdles, it's like each kind of cycle is a hurdle. And, you can win the race and get 50 million views if you keep jumping over each one and it works, But essentially with low engagement, you will fail at the first hurdle or second hurdle and it just won't progress from there. That's why, everything I'm talking about in this growth course, if you want me to make a course specifically for Reels, then let me know again in the comments section. But essentially, that's why all of this compounding effect, learning how to improve your content, learning how the algorithm works, is going to help you pass those hurdles. Now, we're about to go into this a bit deeper, but essentially, low engagement, high engagement, they're the two kind of variables or the two differentiators. Now, of course, in a nutshell, that sounds very basic, but in reality, if your post doesn't get sufficient, in reality, it's a competitive world. It doesn't do well, it doesn't meet the requirements, and it gets shelved. It does well, it will keep going through those hurdles. So let's just go down a bit and see how you can succeed in getting higher engagement. So avoid low quality content. So we've discussed this, there is no reason nowadays to post low quality content. Something I want to really suggest to all of you is when I first started, I had to do a lot of trial and error and I had to basically do it myself. Okay. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have really anyone to speak to apart from, the people I was working with, which was 1-2 people. Now, essentially with my school community, with 100K creator, you in there can share content and get feedback, which is absolutely priceless. I know as a beginner, it can be difficult to understand whether your content is, low quality, high quality, etc. So, sometimes you need to be willing to step out of your shell and just go onto the school and, share your video, put it in a Google Drive link or somewhere and just ask the community, guys, what do you think about this video? I'm in this niche, I'm trying to compete with this person, I'm give some backstory and people can give you feedback. I would remove this shadow, I would do this. There's going to be some people with some big accounts in there, me and my team are in there as well, so really try to use the community or use anyone. I'm not telling you have to join 100K creator, although you should, but just try to get feedback when you can. Otherwise, you can get in a cycle of just posting low quality content and blaming the algorithm and blaming this and blaming that, when really all you need is a few pointers to improve things and kind of get into that mindset of tweaking, improving, etc. Now, test different formats. Now, obviously, we've spoken about this, testing different formats, etc. But essentially, let's start off with the reels and, do as I've just said about testing those formats. Now, the next thing, which is super, super important, is evergreen content. Now, do you know what evergreen content is? Evergreen content essentially is content which will always have demand, which there will always be people interested in, which is not seasonal, which is just always popular, basically, always has. So essentially it's things like frequently asked questions, how-to tutorials, encyclopedic information, reference guides, product reviews. Okay, so how can we succeed with evergreen content? Or, let's discuss it a bit more. So for example, the first thing is create timeless content. Alex, what do you mean by that? So create timeless content. So this focuses on topics, tips, or ideas that remain relevant all year round. So the opposite of this, for example, is like, let's say I'm in the storytelling niche and I create videos about during December about Christmas. It's going to be difficult for that content to get some level of traction or engagement, after January, because, it will end up, March, April. And, why is anyone thinking about Christmas when potentially, they're going on holiday to the beach and stuff like that? So whereas the opposite of that is creating motivational content, for example, or recipes or workouts that people just always will want to know, for example, growing your biceps. People always want to kind of do that. So you need to really think, okay, am I creating evergreen content? And the strategy with this is to have a balance. Okay, so have content that is trending or seasonal, and then have evergreen content. And we're going to discuss this slightly a bit more, but the algorithm is really favoring evergreen content right now. Now, here we have optimize all the posts. Now, update captions, hashtags, or pin high performing posts to your profile to keep them visible. Now, okay, so update captions and hashtags. This is something that is like because the algorithm is giving opportunities to content, after even a month, sometimes even longer. Sometimes small tweaks can get it into the right light. So for example, if your caption was weak at the top, for example, you didn't really have a hook, you didn't force engagement, you didn't attempt to utilize it properly, you've put follow me for more at the top or something of your caption, which is a very, very bad thing to do. Potentially changing that could ignite things, although I'm not telling you it's going to suddenly do that. I'm saying it's a possibility. Okay, the algorithm is always kind of testing, trying things. It could be, but essentially, and with hashtags, you could try 1, 2, 3 different ones, but don't put all your hopes in that. But pinning your high performing reels could be a smart strategy, because if you put your high performing reels at the top, it means if some of your recent posts start performing well and it's been a while since you've posted those high performing reels, then they suddenly might get a surge in people viewing them, liking them, etc. One thing I would say is don't pin your high performing reels like immediately. Oh, it's going viral after a day and I'm going to pin it. No, give it some time, a few weeks, then pin it. Okay. So, and then the final thing is obviously encourage revisits, with the CTAs. It's very similar to what I just said about the captions, updating them. CTAs is always going to help you kind of drive traffic, save this for later, share this with a friend, etc. But especially with evergreen content, you really want to do CTAs for saves. Okay. Now let's go down a bit. Instagram is now prioritizing evergreen posts that maintain relevance and engagement over time. I'm really seeing a lot of posts that I've posted like 3-4 months ago on some of my pages, and they're still getting likes. And suddenly, sometimes they just get a ton of likes, bring me a whole new bunch of followers. And this is what I keep saying. It's the compound effect. What I did a few months ago is still helping me today. And that's sometimes how we see these pages suddenly grow and grow and grow. It's not just from one viral reel. Don't just focus on one viral reel. It's the compound effect that is going to bring everything together. And this evergreen content is a great tool in that kind of compound, mentality. Posts with high initial performance can resurface in feeds weeks or even months later, extending their lifeline. So, sometimes when we, 10,000 views and we think, why is it stopped at 10,000 views? It might have had a really good kind of initial surge. And, at that point, it might need a few days, a few weeks, and suddenly it starts getting exposed again. So don't always just give up. Just think, okay, you know what? I'm going to focus on the next one. It's a possibility, it did well, that it might get some likes again in the future. And if, for example, one of your more recent ones does well, it could give more views to that one. It all compounds. And then the algorithm can continuously, as I'm saying, evaluates all the posts and it's almost like I know what's coming. The algorithm continuously evaluates all the posts and re-promotes those with consistent engagement. At the end of the day, let's say we have someone called Simon, okay? And Simon comes onto, Instagram. What's the purpose of Instagram? The algorithm, Instagram, wants to keep him on Instagram. They want to keep him there watching videos or whatever he's doing. So what are they going to do? They're going to give him the best content that they think is going to interest him. And if that is the video that you posted 3 weeks ago, then they're going to show it to him. So, anything is possible if you're posting good quality content. Just want to go back to here, very low and low quality content. There's no excuse for us to be in this category. Okay, we really need to try to get to moderate, and that should be your goal right now. Like, if you're not sure if your content is low quality, very low quality, moderate, etc., try to get some feedback. Okay, so where we at? We're here, engagement, pathways, and we're gonna go down, down, and key takeaways for this year. Okay, so let's discuss each kind of one. So engage early. Immediate interactions from your core audience sets the tone for your post's reach. Foster community engagement by replying to comments quickly. So this is a quick tactic for you. So something that I like to do sometimes, yes, I still do this stuff, engage early. So essentially, what this means is we know the importance of your core audience. So if your core audience, they're not liking your recent post, they're not liking this, and they don't engage, then sometimes that can mean you fail at the hurdle. So a tactic for this is similar to comment hacking, but slightly different. Essentially, when you post, maybe you could go to your latest other post or to the previous post and reply to your comments then. And what will happen is, especially if some of them are your core audience, what will happen is they will get a notification that you've replied. Go on Instagram, check that you've replied, and then go to their feed and see that you've just posted. And it's likely that they're going to engage, meaning you'll get that quick engagement, which is exactly what I'm talking about. And this could even be DM, stuff like that, just anything to reactivate your brand in your core audience's mind. Okay, next one, prioritize valuable metrics. Saves, shares, meaningful comments carry more weight than likes alone. Design content with shareability and rewatch potential. Remember, as I said, you need to have that intent. Intent is key in anything in life, okay? And when you're creating content, when you're trying to grow, intent in what you're doing is going to go a long, long way. We're very intelligent creatures. Subconsciously, if we can add the intent, okay, and shareability, obviously not just saying it's going to do it, but it will turn into something. Diversify content. As I said, with actionable steps, use carousels. They are popping right now. Carousels are super, super important. Add music to them. Do what you need to. Don't overcomplicate the process and suddenly think, I need to start doing 50 carousels right now. No. Just slowly add carousels when you can. Prioritize your reels and add carousels. Then once you have that strategy going, then you can add stories. It's important to not burn out. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So maintain a balance of short-term trending content and long-term evergreen pieces, which was what I was saying. So again, balance, understanding, testing, leverage longevity. Again, this evergreen content is a super, super important. If there's really anything that I want you to take from this algorithm section, it's that evergreen content is evergreen. And of course, make sure it's high quality. Build a content system. So this is think beyond an individual post. Use a strategic mix of formats to grow your reach and maintain engagement consistently. So, as a beginner, I don't expect you to suddenly have a content system, but it's important for you to really envisage kind of over time, how the audience interact with stuff, even your day-to-day content creation process. Like, okay, on Tuesdays, I'm going to post a carousel. On Wednesday, I'm going to really try to create something that is going to get saves. If you have an editor, if you're doing it yourself, but all of this kind of tactics, are you building a content system? Okay. And I'm not the biggest fan of, when creators tell, people, oh, you should post this, post this, post this. Every niche, every page, even within a niche is different. Okay. Only you can really build your system. And that happens over time. You can't suddenly go on ChatGPT and tell me how, this week's content. Yes, you can get ideas, but ChatGPT doesn't have the subconscious, level that you have or understanding of your audience, of what you're trying to do. So try to build a system over time. Don't try to suddenly, I have to do this, I have to do that. No. But essentially, being in the mindset of building a system is going to help you a lot. Now, I hope this algorithm breakdown has given you a whole different kind of light, refreshing ideas to how this really works. Remember, Instagram is our ally. And if we understand how our ally works, then amazing. When people used to go, when you have an ally, you need to understand how they work so that when you two combine, you can get the best out of each other. So really doing this is going to help us grow so much. Guys, don't go anywhere, because we're about to go back to some more actionable steps and other things that are so important for you to maximize growth on your account. If you haven't dropped a like or a comment yet on this video, please do. Before we get into profile optimization and all of that other stuff, whether it's captions, anything, you need to understand this to build an authentic and proper strategy for your business, your page, especially as, usually we're growing pages with the purpose to turn it into a business or to monetize it or to do something with it. So we're not just growing pages for a random reason. This is a key fundamental for not only growth, but also for monetization. If you want me to make a monetization course like this course in the future, let me know. But yeah, so value proposition as your core. Value proposition as your core. Here's what we're going to cover. So we're going to cover what is value proposition, why start with value proposition, why it matters for growth, the chain reaction, how to create a value proposition that resonates. So what is value proposition, you may be asking? A value proposition is a clear statement that communicates the following: who you are, so what your page is, what makes you unique and why people should care. So who you are, what makes you unique and why people should care, what you offer, the value or benefit your audience will gain by following you or interacting with your content, why you matter, why someone should follow you over the millions of other accounts in your niche. So we've discussed this a little bit in the algorithm section. So these three fundamentals are super key. And you, as a creator, if you aren't able to answer these, you're not doing it properly. Now, I don't expect you, if I'm asking who you are, I'm not expecting you to tell me when you were born, where you live, etc. I need you to be able to tell me about your page, about your brand, about your vision, about why you're creating this page, what makes you unique and why people should care, what you offer. Why should someone follow your page? Just because you're saying follow my page doesn't mean anything. People follow pages without you needing to tell them. Everyone is like, CTA is great. Great. But pages grow without you telling them to grow because of this. The value or benefit your audience will gain by following you or interacting with your content. They need to have a purpose. There needs to be a purpose when it comes to your page. The value or benefit your audience will gain. And this, when you start to really kind of digest this and think about this, things start to really kind of grow in terms of your strategy, in terms of your enlightenment on what you're doing, why you matter, why someone should follow you over the millions of other accounts in your niche. If you're able to answer these two, this third one starts to fall in place by itself. Okay, because the more you can like pin these down, the more you're building your own unique strategy. But then why you matter, this is going to be about you. This third one is, it evolves over time. So why someone should follow you over the millions of other accounts in your niche, this will evolve over time. If right now you're a business, you're a personal brand, and you can answer this straight away, amazing. But don't be, oh, I have to answer this right now because Alex said. No, it's fine. That one, we can evolve it over time. But all of these, you should start writing down. You should have it on a piece of paper. You should have on your notes and start to think subconsciously. Yeah, we are creators. We're business people. We're trying to grow these accounts with purpose. Start to think about these three. So why start with a value proposition? You set a clear direction for every other element we'll discuss. Okay. Like, so many times I'm like, people are like, what should I do for my bio? The only reason you're asking what should I do for my bio is because you don't have a value proposition set in place. If you're able to answer these questions on a piece of paper right now, your bio should be way easy to do. Obviously, I'm going to tell you how to structure it, where to put what, etc. But I can't, I don't know how many views this video is going to get, but I can't sit here and give you bios for everyone, but I can give you the structure. But it's deeper than just the top line should be about this, etc. If you're able to do this right now, everything is going to be easier. Even your content, even when you monetize, okay? Without it, your profile risks being inconsistent, confusing, or irrelevant to your audience. To be honest, I'll be honest with you. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is something that even on my personal Instagram page, I've not done properly. And it's something that I'm working on right now. On my faceless pages, we really dive into this. Like we're constantly, in fact, going over these over and over again, trying to establish our authority. On my personal brand, because I've been focusing on all my other businesses and my YouTube, etc. I thought, I've been testing and just throwing things too much. But now, as I really focus on my value proposition, it will help me. It will help me stop playing a guessing game. Okay, a strong value proposition is the key to building trust, attracting the right audience, turning visitors into followers and followers into engaged community members or customers. Okay, and I've discussed this at the beginning. It's almost like I know what's coming, but you see, it really is important. Why it matters for growth. Here's how it connects to every element. Profile picture. Whether it's an approachable headshot for a personal brand or a sleek logo for a theme page, your profile picture should align with your value proposition. A clear handle communicates your niche and reflects your promise to your audience. Here's bio mastery. A clear, compelling bio converts profile visitors into followers by showing them exactly why they should follow you. Feed layout. Your feed is where your value proposition comes to life visually. Consistency in colors, tone, and messaging ensures visitors understand your brand and see the value in following you. His highlights act as an evidence supporting your value proposition. So you can throw in extra stuff that help you showcase these elements, okay? These elements you are able to, the more you incorporate in your content, the easier for everyone to understand what you're doing. The chain reaction, attracting the right audience, increasing engagement and retention, simplifying content creation. This is a huge one for value proposition and super underrated, like a benefit of doing it. Okay. And I just explained with a personal brand because that is something that if I do my value proposition right, which I am now, it will hopefully make my my content creation system much easier. And then it's going to make me more money. It's going to make me more money. Okay. Attracting the right audience. A clear value proposition filters out irrelevant followers and attracts the audience that truly benefits from your content. That's why sometimes going viral is not the best thing. Going viral might actually attract an audience that doesn't fit your value proposition, which is why sometimes, and you'll hear this often, some pages that have 20,000, 30,000 followers might be making a ton of money because they have their value proposition locked in. They know exactly who they're targeting. They have the right product, and they have all of these elements ticked off. Increasing engagement and retention. When people immediately understand your value, they are more likely to engage with your posts, visit your website, and share your content. The clearer the picture, the easier it is to understand. The more people willing to purchase that picture, to digest that picture, to redraw that picture, whatever it is. Simplifying content creation. We've discussed this. Your value proposition serves as a content filter. Every piece of content you create should support or align with the value you promise your audience. Boosting conversions. Again, we've spoken about this. Whether your goal is followers, email signups, or product sales, a clear value proposition guides visitors towards the action you want them to take. How to create a value proposition that resonates. Step 1, understand your audience. We've discussed this. Who are they? What challenge do they face? What do they want to achieve? Step 2, define your core offering. What specific value do you provide? How does your content solve their problems or fulfill their desires? Communicate your differentiator. What makes you unique in your niche? Why should they choose you over someone else? Let's, on this point, think about the explore page. If I'm a person that loves motivational content and my explore page is full of motivation content, I'm looking at the best motivational content that the algorithm thinks I like. Why should I press that video? Why should I follow that page when there's literally so much options? Okay. If we don't know what we're doing, how is the audience going to know? Make it clear and concise. Your value proposition should be easy to understand in under 10 seconds. Avoid jargon or vague statements. So these are just some kind of examples just to understand things. Fitness coach, helping busy professionals get fit with 15-minute workouts. Building strength and confidence through personalized gym routines. Travel blogger, inspiring adventure seekers with budget-friendly travel hacks. Helping solo travelers explore the world safely and confidently. You see how it gets easier. Helping creators monetize Instagram with real strategies. Teaching Gen Z how to start profitable side hustles. Helping small creators go viral with growth tips and real hacks. Teaching aspiring creators to turn content into income. You know, that's me. No, I'm joking. But, well, it is kind of. But you get the point. Like, pinning these down from here, I can create a ton of content. My audience also know what I'm doing. Things start to really align. Quick summary, know your value proposition. Which answers the question, what's in it for me? This also creates a cohesive brand experience. Without it, your profile risks being inconsistent, confusing, or irrelevant to your audience. Guys, take your time with this. This is key information that actually matters. You know, there are we're thinking about, this hashtag, this, but if we don't have things like this, which are fundamentals of a strategy, none of that other stuff doesn't matter. Okay. This is key to building a growth focused account with a purpose to turn into something, whether it's business, personal brand, whatever it is. Value proposition as your core. Done. Okay, so you understand value proposition. Now, value proposition is an integral thing which a lot of people just don't discuss. When you have the right mentality, but also the right strategy in place, but you're creating content, your page is built with purpose, then the conversion rate on everything is going to improve. So value proposition is super important to that. But now we're going to discuss how you're going to integrate your value proposition into your profile. Because
if you integrate it into your profile properly, so your bio, your logo, your whole kind of brand, then you are going to convert way more people. As we spoke about in the algorithm section, when people come onto your profile, they are faced with a decision. Am I going to follow this profile or not? And we can lose so many people from that. Sometimes I've seen people go viral, 20 million views, 1 million views, and they get 2 followers from it or 10 followers from it. And that's because you are not integrating your value proposition into your profile. So there is no purpose into what you're doing. So the next section is going to cover that, basic principles, but super important principles and how to use them the right way. When it comes to sport, everyone can swim, but the best swimmers know how to use the best techniques. They train, and we're going to jump into basic techniques, but how to integrate them properly with your value proposition. And that's the real difference, which you are about to find out. Okay, so integrating your value proposition across your profile. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover profile picture, handle, bio mastery, feed layout, and highlights. So this is essentially profile optimization, but the right way. So profile picture. Your profile picture is everywhere on Instagram. Your profile, comments, DMs. This is what I mean. So your profile, comments, DMs, search results, stories, etc. People see your profile picture everywhere. So we actually often think, profile picture usually, is seen just when we go on our profile. But really, like when we do a story, they'll see our profile picture. When, we search results, they'll see our profile picture. DMs, profile picture. So our profile is actually everywhere. And sometimes I think we do forget that. So optimize for small sizes. You need to make sure that it's ready to be seen and looks clean at those small sizes. Instagram compresses profile pictures, so be sure it's sharp and clear, even at a small scale. Test its visibility across different devices. Okay, so these are some of the kind of the metrics for Instagram, but the profile picture, keep it 110, and make sure that it's optimized for small sizes. Okay, so for personal branding, a high quality close-up shot of your face. Avoid full body shots. They lose detail when resized, and often you probably actually can't potentially really see the person's face. Neutral or branded background colors that don't clash with your outfit. So keep it looking clean, neutral, and avoid like colors that just clash. Wear colors associated with your brand for consistency. Just make it look good. So follow these steps. You can pause this video at any point and obviously kind of use them. So for theme pages, now this is an important one. I know loads of you are doing theme pages. Use a logo or a symbol that instantly communicates your niche, e.g. a globe for travel, a dumbbell for fitness. Ensure the design is bold, simple, and free of tiny details that might get blurred. Okay, so something that I actually advise nowadays is to either have a logo, which is like a picture, or a word, not both. Having both is just not needed. Like, a simple one, like these are just some random examples, but like AI, that's enough. Having a logo of a lion, for example, if your page is motivational and it looks good, etc., is enough. So try to just have one or the other. Make it be able to represent your brand value proposition, and you're good to go. And make it look good, clean. These right here, I wouldn't say these are amazing. Some of you are probably thinking that's not good. That they're not amazing, but they're just clean. Yeah. And sometimes if you're a new account, starting off with just a clean one is fine. Okay, we can improve it over time. Even some of my pages that some of we improve the logos over time. At the beginning I might use a Canva one. Then if it starts performing well, or the page starts performing well, I might pay someone on Fiverr or Upwork to create a more professional one. So there's always an evolution with pages. But to begin, you want it to be crisp and clear. Centering and contrast. Crop this image so that your face or logo is centered. Use contrasting colors to make it pop against Instagram's dark light mode. So exactly what we've kind of discussed.
And always make sure it's centered. There's nothing worse when a logo is not centered or slightly to the right. It just doesn't look professional. We want to look professional. Testing for impact. Try A/B testing across multiple profile pictures to see which drives better engagement and brand recognition. Or you can just, for example, if you're in my school community, 100K creators, you can ask people. Do a poll. We do that often. Which logo do you like? People will vote and you'll get feedback. Feedback is extremely underrated. So remember, anytime you want feedback on something, use the school communities. The link will be in the description. Ensure consistency across all platforms to build that cohesive branding. Okay. Next up is the handle. So SEO optimized handles. SEO means search engine optimization, which means, which means essentially searchability. Okay, so use niche specific keywords in your handle to make your account searchable. For example, if you're a fitness coach, fit with Emma. If you're travel tips, travel tactics, entrepreneurship, side hustle school. You can be really smart with your names and build a brand from it. I do not want to see this Anna Fitness 1 2 3 4 5 9 6 4 5. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look professional. We want to always try and avoid underscores, symbols, random numbers, handles, etc. Avoid using overly generic names. Actually, I don't mind the generic names. Okay, so even again, I'll go against my own slides. I don't mind these too much. The issue with these is that they're hard to actually find nowadays. Instagram handles and social media handles are hard to get. These work, okay, especially if your page is literally travel tips, okay? So like even marketing expert, if your page is like giving marketing expert advice, like Grow with Alex, then it can work, okay? So I would say it's actually good. But yeah, the main thing is confusion with random symbols, numbers, letters, etc. Avoid these. Or avoid the first one. Future-proof your handle. Consider your long-term vision. If you might expand beyond your current niche, choose a broader name that you can evolve with your brand. For example, marketing with Alex scale better than Instagram tips by Alex. So exactly, which is why, even with me, I did grow with Alex, because growth can be, there's multiple aspects of growth. It can even be mindset. It can be different social media platforms, etc. So you really want to do this right at the beginning and have that long-term vision. Okay. Which is what I did in this case. So consistency across all platforms. Check if your handle is available on other platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. This is super important. And I mean X, not Twitter, but you get that. And you can tell I just had a coffee, right? Yeah. Consistency. So it's worth checking beforehand if you're serious about this to, if they're available on the other platforms. Bio mastery. Part 1. Crafting a powerful value proposition. Your bio must answer 3 questions for visitors. How do you help others? Who you are? What action should they take next? So essentially the first one is, how do you help others? How, what value are people going to get from your page? Who are you? Who are you? At the end of the day, people are going to decide to follow you, to participate in this world. Who are you? They need to know. What action should they take next is basically a CTA, call to action, telling them to kind of actually do something. Telling them follow for more is a weak CTA. We can all do much better than that. Value proposition formula. I help specific audience achieve specific benefit through specific method. This obviously doesn't apply to every niche, but it's about getting into this mentality. If you're a gardener, you're teaching people how to plant plants at home. I help homeowners. I help everyone grow vegetables from home. This is super random, but you get the point. Okay, and being able to answer this is going to help you make content, and your audience are going to understand exactly who you are. Specific audience. Be clear who you are targeting. Busy moms, solo travelers, aspiring entrepreneurs. Now, just quickly disclaimer, of course, there's going to be variations. This is like, at the end of the day, I'm making a growth Instagram course. So, there is going to be parts of it that might not be 100% for a certain niche, etc. You need to really digest this and think, can this fit my niche? You know what? Maybe this is slightly better. You know, I can't sit here and make 50 different breakdowns for different, categories, but you get the point. Yeah. So remember, think as you digest through this whole course, try to, have your vision on there. Try to look at each thing that I'm talking about and applying that. Okay. So can I be specific with my audience? Yeah. If you are a clothing company and you can't be specific, you just target men. I mean, I guess that is still targeting. So you can, but you get the point. So another specific benefit. So specific audience, specific benefit, focus on primary outcome or value your audience gets. So example, lose weight, explore safely, build passive income. Specific method, include how you deliver the value with quick workouts through budget travel hacks via actionable strategies. So take note of this and, spend some time just digesting it. Part 2, keywords in your bio. Why keywords matter. Again, we're talking about search engine optimization, SEO. Instagram search function recognizes keywords in your bio. Example, if someone searches fitness coach, accounts with fitness or coach in their bio are prioritized. Positioning establishes authority in your niche and sets expectations. It's so important to have these keywords. It just helps with the audience understanding who you are. Okay. And again, it helps with the searchability. Niche specific, use terms in your audience, use terms your ideal audience searches for. Fitness, strength training, home workouts, healthy eating, travel, budget travel, adventure hacks, solo tips, etc. Focus on their problems, needs, or goals. This is big. Instead of lover of food, try helping foodies discover budget-friendly recipes. Part 3, emojis. Emojis add personality and break up text and making it more scannable. They visually communicate your audience, communicate your niche. Now, not every niche needs to put a ton of emojis. If you're in the motivational niche, for example, you might want to have a more minimalistic bio with less emojis. If you're in the travel niche, you might want to have a bit more emojis with some worlds, some airplanes, etc. It really depends on, your branding, okay? But emojis do help the right way. And even if you're in motivation, look at this. So here is a website called Symbols for IG. So sometimes you can actually get symbols and put them in your bio that other pages don't know about. So this is a really good kind of bonus tip, Symbols for IG. And you'll see a lot of motivational pages use them in their captions, in their bio, etc. And there's a ton of different stuff that you might not see here. So if you want to kind of explore this for your bio, Symbols for IG is the website. There are other ones, you just kind of need to Google it. But yeah, you can get a ton of different cool stuff that usually will work in your bio, okay? Obviously, sometimes it's phone dependent as well, but definitely have a look at this. This can also enhance your bio with your emojis. How to use emojis effectively, we've kind of already talked about this. Align them with your tone, fun, professionals, or adventurous. Structuring your bio. So this is super important, of course. A growth-focused bio should follow this structure. Who you are. And we've said this so many times, who you are. You need to be able to answer that. Your value proposition or niche. Example, helping entrepreneurs scale through Instagram strategies. What do you offer? Use keywords to communicate your focus, e.g., organic growth, Reels tips, monetization, call to action, CTA. Encourage action, visit your website, DM for services, grab my free Instagram growth guide. This is a much better CTA than follow me for more. Trying to already establish value by giving something for free is a very, very smart way to build your business, to build that trust immediately by giving a freebie. There are so many ways to build a good bio, okay? Feed layout. If you've watched this course, you have no reason to have a bad bio, okay? Feed layout. Your feed should instantly communicate the value of your content. A messy or inconsistent layout can turn visitors away. And that's just the truth. Thumbnails. Use bold, legible text, overlays for reels and carousels. Highlight key points or hooks to draw attention.
You can see here cohesive visuals. These are just some examples of, branding, of clean aesthetics. Obviously, you can do better, you can do worse, but this is a great example. Stick to a consistent color palette or filter. Use similar fonts and styles to reinforce branding. Again, if you have questions about this, you want feedback, use the communities in my description to help you on this journey. Feedback is priceless. Value focused posts, here are more some custom ones. Share content that immediately showcases your expertise or entertainment value. When people come onto your profile, they're going to judge you. If it looks like this, it looks professional. It looks like this person cares about their page. Let me follow, because there is some psychological value in that. Okay. And you can do this. Okay. In New Reel, you just literally edit cover and you can add a custom cover. You can choose the best moment in the video, make sure it's clean, not blurry, and the rest is history. Highlights. Highlights act as a mini library of your best stories and give visitors a quick overview of what you offer. You can do stuff like about me, services, products, social proof. Really depends on your niche, what you're trying to do. Have some insights about your sales, your business, about potentially information about your page. If you're struggling to showcase who you are, to answer some of those other questions, this might be the category for you to answer some of them questions and actually give that information to your audience. Quick summary. Once you've defined your value proposition, it should flow seamlessly through every element of your profile. Your value proposition is key, okay? The clearer you can identify that, the clearer the audience can identify whether they should follow you and partake in this journey with you. It's a choice. And this value proposition is going to help the audience make that choice to follow you. Do not sleep on this. Settings you can tweak right now. Now, it's all fun and games, us posting our reels, us posting our amazing content, but if we don't have the right Instagram settings turned off or turned on, sometimes that can just affect the performance of what's going to happen. So this is an important section, as I often get questions about this. And there are numerous settings on Instagram, some beneficial for growth and others can potentially damage that growth. And of course, this course is all about growth. So let's kind of make sure that our account is in the right place. So if you need to take some notes, if you need to cross-check it with your account, then do that. We have some amazing things still coming up in this course, so stay tuned and let's jump into it. So the first thing is checking your account optimization. And basically, what you want to do is go into incognito mode to check suggested accounts. If they're unrelated to your niche, optimize your account by tweaking content and settings. Okay, so for example, if you go on incognito, and type in your account, and if you go to suggested for you on your account, and you see random accounts not in your niche, then this sometimes can be a red flag, and we need to kind of make sure that the algorithm understands what niche we're in. Really, the ideal scenario for this is that our account, like let's say we're in the motivational niche, you press that account and then you see a ton of other motivational pages. So you basically know that the algorithm understands, what type of account you are. So this is super important to tweak this and make changes, something like warming up your page, which we've talked about earlier on the video, making sure that you're communicating with accounts in your niche. A lot of the stuff I've mentioned in this course is basically going to help you get to this point. But this is an important kind of red flag, which in my opinion does make a difference. The next thing is avoid Instagram's inbuilt scheduler. Now, this is something that I get a lot of questions about. And, I know in an ideal world, I would love to just be able to auto-publish and schedule my content. That would save me and my team and everyone so much time. But from me and other marketers and people I know and all my experience, we've noticed that scheduling the content or auto-publishing does cap
the content's performance. And what I mean by cap is like, sometimes it just can't pass 2,000 views, can't pass 10,000 views. Sometimes there'll be outliers where it works, but overall, we've seen a more negative kind of data from auto-publishing. And I really recommend not auto-publishing, to do it manually. The second reason why is because, let's look at this. When we're posting, let's look at a reel, for example. When we're posting a reel, we're posting, we're not just posting a reel. We're going to have to do the caption. We're going to have to potentially do the hashtags if we've not prepped it. We're going to have to, pick our thumbnail. We're going to have to zoom in on the thumbnail, zoom out, whatever we're going to do. And all of these little tweaks happen right before we're about to post. Sometimes when you auto-publish, you can be like, this thumbnail looks good, or this caption's fine. But suddenly when you're there in that last moment about to post, subconsciously, or I don't know how, you think, you know what, this thumbnail is better, or this, I'm going to add this to the caption. I'm going to make the video slightly shorter. And those differences are key differences, because sometimes that choice to pick this thumbnail, to look at this from a viewer's point of view instead, makes a massive difference. And I don't want you to sleep on that as well. And it's almost like Instagram and all this auto-publishing stuff is telling us don't auto-publish because of this. So this is my response to anyone thinking that. Yeah. The next thing is to check your account status. So this is always kind of important to do every few months, especially if you have a reposting, faceless account or something like that, you sometimes can get, some negative stuff. So often if you do it the right way, which I explain in a lot of videos, then you should be fine. But sometimes you can go against guidelines, and it's important for you to check this kind of ongoing, even if you're an influencer or whatever. You can see here, your post goes against our guidelines on nudity. It's important for us to keep track of this so that we can, resolve those red flags immediately, because this can limit your reach, which will prevent you from growing. So keep checking this. This is in your settings, super easy to find. Then you obviously have enable suggested accounts, which is right here. Activate the suggested account feature in your profile settings to appear as recommended to followers of similar accounts. So this essentially is very similar to what we discussed here. And it's basically the opposite. For other accounts, you will appear in there suggested when people, press it on their accounts. So this is obviously a way to get more exposure, which is a compounding effect for us to get more followers. The next thing is upload high quality content. Now, this is something that we've all seen 1,020 million times on Instagram, of people, all the Instagram gurus telling us you must upload at highest quality. But if you don't know, this must be ticked. Okay. I'm going to keep this brief, as I'm guessing most of you do know this, but this is in settings and privacy, media quality, upload at highest quality. Make sure this is checked, because sometimes, basically, just to explain what it is that, let's say you're on Wi-Fi, or let's say you're on mobile data, and you have very bad signal. If you don't have this checked on, what will happen is Instagram will compromise the quality to make sure that the post goes out. So it will reduce the quality because the file size will be less, meaning that the post can go out and it understands that you have low mobile data or a bad connection. Okay, so, but by ticking this, it means no matter the connection, if it's bad, good, whatever, it's going to always upload at the highest quality that our video is. Okay, so that's super important. In the app settings, turn on upload at highest quality to ensure that your posts appear in the best possible resolution. Boost story engagement. Now, this is a setting, not a setting. Is it a setting? I don't know, but it's here. And using features or settings in your stories to enhance your story is key. Okay. Like for me personally, I love to use this one. I mean, mainly those two are my favorite. I do like using questions, polls, etc. But there are so many different features on Instagram stories, like to enhance it, that you shouldn't be posting boring stories which people just skip. Okay, try to make them interactive. This setting will make a big difference. The next thing is clear search history on a regular basis. This is just like a general kind of maintenance for your account. Periodically clear your search history to avoid confusing the algorithm with irrelevant data. So if you accidentally, type something that you shouldn't or look at something you shouldn't on this account, because remember, we are in a business mode. We're trying to grow our accounts. We're not in personal mode. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be watching this video. Clear your recent searches, okay? So clear this often just to refresh everything. Smart cross posting. Enable cross posting to Facebook only if your niche aligns with your older audience that is more active there. So definitely share to Threads nowadays is super important. Threads is actually starting to have benefits and grow, and it's not going to move from there. So for us as creators, it's definitely worth us taking this. Share to Facebook, it doesn't always benefit us. If your account is like heavily aligned with certain niche or audiences that might be on Facebook, it might be worth doing. But I do recommend having a separate Facebook page and uploading directly to that. Okay. Otherwise, turn it off for, like if you don't really care about Facebook, I wouldn't have it. Okay. So, because the focus you want it to be purely on Instagram. But if you see benefits in Facebook, then of course, but turn on share to Threads. Keep track of the latest algorithm and setting changes over time. Obviously, this is something that we're constantly looking at. I can't make a video about this every day. There's other creators for this, but these settings and stuff do change over time, but they do last a while. So these settings, most likely, these are like lifetime settings that will, be always super important. Yeah. But if you want updates, just join my community where we do updates and so forth. So that is settings for growth right now. Yes, my good friend hashtags, one of the most asked topics, spoken topics in the world of Instagram. So I had to create a whole section on hashtags and where we are at with them right now. So let's talk all about hashtags. Here's what we're going to cover. Hashtags then and now, why they still matter, common myths about hashtags, mistakes to avoid when using hashtags. Here's an effective hashtag strategy maintenance. Hashtags then and now. How they used to work. In the early days of Instagram, hashtags were one of the primary ways for users to discover new accounts and content. Simply adding a trending or niche specific hashtag could significantly boost visibility. Posts were ranked chronologically under hashtags, making timely usage key. How they work now. Hashtags today provide contextual insights to the Instagram algorithm. They help categorize your content and inform the platform about which audiences might be interested in your posts. The chronological ranking is gone. Instead, Instagram ranks posts based on engagement, relevance, and the account's relationship with its audience. Large accounts often don't use hashtags. I really don't use many hashtags at all on many of my accounts because their audience and the algorithm already have a strong alignment, ensuring their content reaches the right people. So, as you can tell from this, hashtags have changed a lot over the years. Like before, obviously they did make a difference. When I first started, hashtags was a prime strategy, which is why everyone kind of still speaks about it. If you type in ChatGPT, advice or, look at certain advice, people still talk about hashtags too much. Don't overcomplicate hashtags. Hashtags is one of those things nowadays where, like there are so many different variables or things that matter when you post on Instagram or try to grow on Instagram. For example, posting good content is like a big percentage of how well you're going to grow. Yeah. But hashtags is like a very small percentage. Okay. And it used to be higher, but now it's small. So hashtags is a contributing factor, but not a huge one. It's more useful now for newer accounts, for that algorithm alignment. That's what I really want you to think about with hashtags. If there's anything for this section, algorithm alignment. So everything we've spoken about in the algorithm earlier, the hashtag allows you to have that alignment, discoverability, which then will get you an engagement boost, which then, feeds into the algorithm's insights. For accounts in the growth phase, hashtags act as a bridge between your content and the right audience. They allow you to reach users who are actively searching for specific content or interests. It doesn't mean they're searching hashtags, okay? So, I'm not saying that these people are searching those hashtags, no, but you are similar to how the keywords work. It's very similar. You are telling the algorithm information, you are feeding it this information, which then allows the algorithm to bridge your content and the right audience. So I recommend, I'm about to talk about that anyway, but it's hashtags in two scenarios that they're super useful. When you're heavily in the growth phase, and then the second phase is if you pivot or change your content style slightly, then using hashtags again is useful. Common myths about hashtags. Take a pause and read this. You have to use all 30 hashtags. Now. I know some of you are going to be like, but I've seen this account with 30 hashtags and they've gone super viral. I've seen this account post the same hashtags every time and they're going super viral. First of all, there's always going to be outliers. There's 1.4 billion Instagram accounts. Remember that. There's going to be something for everything. But majority of the time, using 30 hashtags is not useful. And when you see people repeating their hashtags, again, if their page is already aligned with the algorithm, it's not useful. It can be there, but it doesn't really benefit them in any way because the algorithm already knows who to show the content to. Hashtags, in my opinion, use 3 to 11. 3 to 7. I usually go for 3 to 7, but 3 to 11 is fine. Hashtag placement matters. No, it doesn't really matter, but obviously you don't want to have it at the top of your caption because you can use hooks and other things for that. High volume hashtags equal more views. Wrong. You need to have a mixture. Copy pasting hashtags from other accounts works. I mean, I've got an X here, it works and doesn't work. I think with your hashtags, you need to look at your content and think, okay, this video is about this, hashtag this. This is another reason why not to auto publish, because in the last minute, you can think, okay, this video is about motivation. It's about, Denzel Washington. It's about Equalizer 3. You can do those hashtags in the last minute. You can check at that point their rank. So you don't need to copy, it's more effort to find someone to copy and paste, etc. It's more effort to do all of that. Okay. So remember this, please. Mistakes to avoid when using hashtags. Yeah. So using dead hashtags, that's why sometimes copying hashtags from other accounts, you don't know if they're dead. You're not going to go and sit there for, checking all of them. So you can check in the moment your own hashtags, if they appear, if they're under a certain amount of, usages, you will know if they're good or not. So don't use dead hashtags. So dead hashtags are those where the posts are outdated, over 30 days old. So you can press a hashtag and you'll be able to tell from this. Use spammy hashtags, follow for follow, like for like. Come on. We're not living in 2015 anymore. We all have better strategies than that right now. And if you are a subscriber, you have a better strategy than that. I've spoken about this many times. So please, none of this. They attract bots and low quality engagement. This is the bot realm. We're not entering that realm. Okay. We're organic grow machines. Using banned hashtags. Certain hashtags are banned due to excessive activity or misuse, or, if they're a bad topic or something. Using them can suppress your post reach entirely. Exactly. So again, remember this. Here's an effective hashtag strategy. Damn, who knew I was so passionate about hashtags? Step 1, understand your goals. Research and categorize hashtags. Step 3, create hashtag sets. Step 4, test and analyze. So if you want to have a strategy that isn't in the last minute just coming up with 3 to 7, which is what I recommend, you can understand your goals, research and categorize a bunch of hashtags in your niche or in a target audience. It's better to actually think about targeting the audience, or what your content is about. But because content can vary post to post, so it will change. But from this, you can create some hashtag sets. And then you can test and analyze this over time. Okay, so it's super simple. You can have this saved if you want to save time, research some hashtags, look at some that other accounts are doing, but don't press copy, just put them in, check them. You can spend an hour on hashtags and then that will last you for, I don't know, like a few months. So, but then, if you have a new video, it's a new style or it's a topic, then add something different. Don't be limited just by, potentially being lazy or not wanting to, check a new hashtag or experimenting. Understand your goals. Are you aiming for reach, engagement, or niche targeting? Your hashtag strategy should align with these objectives. Large hashtags, medium hashtags, small hashtags. So as I said, I recommend trying to do a mix, but you don't want to do the huge ones. So around 1 mil to maybe a few mil, but there's some with, hashtag food. I don't know how useful that one is. You can do better than that. Like hashtag fitness, maybe too broad. I think a mixture of these 3 to 7, you'll be solid. And if you're then going to be like, well, that didn't work, my post didn't do well, and you're blaming hashtags, then we're not on the same page. Because trust me, it's not the hashtags. As I said, hashtags is a very small contributor and won't be the factor that makes your account go viral. It won't be the factor that makes your account blow. Okay. Step 3, create hashtag sets. Develop 3 to 5 sets of hashtags that you can rotate between posts to maintain variety and avoid redundancy. I've already given you a strategy. This is just the kind of other one. Use tools like Instagram Insights or third-party apps to evaluate which hashtags drive the most engagement and reach. So for example, some platforms like Later, which is a scheduling platform, although we don't auto-publish on it, we use it for organization, has inbuilt hashtag, checkers and stuff like that. They're good and useful as well. These softwares, they're additional softwares to help us with our strategies and can give us good insight. So you can use them to test and analyze your content and your hashtags. It actually gives you data on your hashtags. So this one has performed the best, etc. So it can be useful. Strategy maintenance. Step 1, remove underperforming hashtags monthly. You might need software for this like Later, but I wouldn't overanalyze this. I don't want to tell you this and suddenly you're like, this is the reason the hashtag didn't do well. If you have the software for it, if you have the time to dive in and connect the dots, then do it. Okay. But having a rotation, thinking about your content and making hashtags each time for that bit of content, 2 minutes, trust me, after a week, after posting a few times, you'll be in the zone. Hashtags will be like, okay, done. Especially once you start understanding your niche. But again, if you want to use these strategies, you're more than welcome to. These are solid. This is obviously, I've built these, but I'm also a free spirit. So I don't always, have to stick to something exactly like this, but I'm giving you both scenarios. Quick summary. Hashtags still have their place in helping your content fly. Like any other content factors, there's no one size fits all approach. It's all about being strategic and flexible. Wow. That last point is exactly what I was just talking about. But yeah, so that's hashtags. Let's grow. There's more fire coming up.
Okay, so the next section is going to be all about your mind. When it comes to your mind and how you approach this business or this world of social media, I actually think it's 40 to 60% is contribute or of your success comes from here. Okay. And, we have all of these videos. I've told you so much stuff that you are going to take action on, etc. But if we don't approach it, if we don't have the right mentality or the right approach, it's going to be difficult to do it long term. It's going to be difficult to be consistent. It's going to be a difficult journey. Which is why when I broke down the algorithm, I wanted to change your approach, because when we don't understand the algorithm, we often, go against it or try to battle it, we shouldn't be battling anything. We should be enjoying this journey. We should be enjoying posting content. We should be enjoying being creative, so it's not yes, it can be a chore at times, but the right approach is not to make it a chore and be expressive, treat it like a business, but enjoy the process and having the right mentality in place. Or, for me, I've been doing this for like 7+ years now, as I've mentioned, and I've learned a lot on that lesson. I've burnt out many, many times. And I really wanted to add this section at the end of the video or towards the end, still quite a bit, but I wanted to add it because I really think that this is a key component. And, the people who have succeeded in my communities, I can see that certain individuals just approach things in the right way. Okay. Now, that's not to say that, everyone's issue is their mindset. No. But when you get the right mindset in place, it really allows your base is just so much stronger. Okay. Like understanding how to approach failure, understanding how to remain consistent, understanding how to prevent burnout, understanding, when to change direction. When you start to break all of these things down, you are building a deeper strategy than just, I'm going to post 7 times a day or I'm going to post 3 times a week. Strategy comes from our actions. It comes, and with what brings us to doing actions is our minds. Okay, so I really wanted to have this section for minds. I really hope it helps you. I really hope you can take some some notes on it. And one thing I want to say as well, if you have experienced anything, on this journey of being a social media creator, trying to build an Instagram or anything, and you have something to share that you think could help other people, please share it in the comments. As even me, I read always my comments and I'm always learning and I'm always trying to get feedback. And so many of us have amazing journeys or difficult journeys. And the more we share, the more we understand, the more data we have as creators, the better our success rate. Okay, so don't feel like as you watch this course, as you watch the next section, if you have any comments, if you have any advice, please share it in the comments. I really hope one of the pinned comments is someone, is inspiring. But yeah, enjoy the next section. Take your time with it. I really hope that there's any particular point in this video that's going to help you. Is the next section. Let's jump into having the growth mindset to actually grow on Instagram right now.
Being a content creator, being a faceless Instagram business, being a social media marketer is all fun and games until we want to give up, until we don't know how to carry on, until it becomes overwhelming. Mindset is one of the key factors that has allowed me to achieve my success. It's one of the key factors that I've noticed so many times in other successful people, other pages, their approach. It often doesn't come down to the fundamental aspects of Instagram. What hashtag should I use? This. Those are all important, and everything I've said is important. Okay, don't get that wrong. But having the right mindset is going to be the difference between your approach to someone who is not ready to really make significant strides in this social media world. And I had to have a whole section which was about mindset, because if you can get this mindset right, you are literally like 50% of the way there. Okay. And here are 3 different kind of real focuses that I believe are going to make an impact to you right now. Now, on my free school community, I do have a longer version of this, a big course about mindset for creators. So if you enjoy this, then obviously head over there after. This is slightly different, but there is another one there as well. But there is going to be some action steps. There is going to be some stuff that is going to require you to really think about yourself. It's going to require you to think about who you are. So let's jump into key mindset shifts every creator needs to succeed. So overcoming the fear of failure. Here's what we're going to cover. So this particular one is overcoming the fear of failure. Here's what we're going to cover. Reframe failure as feedback, embrace imperfection, managing expectations, action plan. Reframe failure as feedback. Rather than seeing failure as a sign of incompetence or inability, you view it as a feedback mechanism that helps you understand what works and what doesn't. Now, failure often is a result of having too high expectations. You know, if you go into a reel, if you post a reel and your thought is, I just need to get one view, then most of the time you're going to get one view and you wouldn't see it as a failure. Failure comes from setting ourselves potentially a lot of the time unrealistic expectations. You know, why am I not viral? I've just started. Why am I not this? Wrong. If you want to succeed, let's change that. Rather than seeing it as failure, as a sign of incompetence or inability, let's view it as a feedback mechanism. So if we post a reel and our goal for that reel was to get 2,000 views, to get 10,000 views, if it doesn't achieve that, there's no point us blaming the algorithm, as we've literally discussed in the algorithm section. You know, we need to use it as an ally, but instead we need to use it as a feedback mechanism. Okay, so I have some analytics. It can tell me that the average watch time was, I don't know, 11 seconds and the reel is 40 seconds. So roughly I've got an average watch time of around 27%. Okay, so that means for next time, I need to increase this watch time. And there is proof that I can increase this percentage. Even if I get it from 27 to 30 to 35, that's going to potentially make the difference between me getting more views. How can I do that? Those are the questions you need to ask yourself. And as a creator, it's about doing that kind of week in, month out. Like, you just want to keep that mindset. Understand why something didn't do well and go deeper. Feedback is super useful. You know, when I first started, I didn't have enough feedback. Okay, so I had to really dig deep, do a ton of research, like become ultra, you know, like analytical, comparing one reel to my competitor's reel, all of this stuff. But now we have communities, we have like so many creator opportunities and stuff like that, where we can actually ask for feedback or ask people, what do you think of this video? But ultimately, the data we're getting from our videos and content is the ultimate feedback. And you being in a position of trying to understand, breaking down your video, where did my competitor do well? Where did I do well or do wrong? And moving on from that and trying to tweak one thing each week. Having that approach is going to change everything for you. But one thing I will say with this is that we have to be realistic with ourselves. If you make a video and it's not good, but you think it is good, then you are just setting yourself up for failure. Okay, you need to be honest. Look at my video, look at your competitor's video. That one is clearly better quality. That one clearly has better hooks. That one clearly has a better caption. And then you need to be able to identify that. You need to be able to tell yourself that, because only that way can you improve what you're doing. Every time something doesn't go as planned, take a step back to analyze why it happened. You know, we don't need to analyze like literally every reel, everything. But each reel, from there, I can learn something. And so psychologically, subconsciously, that will impact the next time we create content. That will improve that next bit of content. Embrace imperfection, okay? It's tempting to wait until everything is perfect before you post. But the truth is, no one ever gets everything right on their first try. So now moving on, it's about kind of what I've just said is obviously about improvement. It's a growth kind of mindset, okay? But we don't want to get into the deep end and like, okay, but I can improve this, okay, I can improve this, okay? Like, what you want to do is potentially each post, try to improve an aspect, whether it's the filter, whether it's the light on the text, anything, improve it. Don't like try to make each post perfect, because you will get stuck. And when it doesn't perform well, you will want to give up.
Perfection doesn't actually exist. Even reels that get 20 million views, I think, damn, I could have got 40 million views. But in fact, you know what? This did well. How can I improve it for next time? Perfect. I've learned. Most successful creators got to where they are by being adaptable. And I speak a lot about this in some of my communities. You know, being adaptable is a key fundamental of social media. It's like that ongoing, you know, trends, ongoing new styles of content. We need to be able to adapt, but we need to be able to learn from adapting, learning, experimenting. And it's like this trifecta, this triangle of adapting, learning, experimenting. And once we can get into this zone, things become simpler and more enjoyable. Remember, your followers will appreciate your journey more than your flawless execution. You know what? I hold my hands up. Even on my personal IG, like, you know, and I probably get comments, you know, Alex, you got so many followers on your faceless pages, but your Instagram, your personal one isn't as big. I'll be honest, like, you know, often I overthink. I'm aiming for perfection. You know, I put too much pressure on myself, and it prevents me from creating. And it's literally like this right here. And that's, you know, me being honest. But, you know, I've given myself a challenge this year to overcome that and just jump in and really dedicate some time to it. You know, another fact is that I haven't had too much time or wanted to dedicate too much time because I was focusing on YouTube, etc. But, you know, it does exist even with all bigger creators or other people in different positions. And ultimately, you know, managing expectations is going to help you. Okay. And, you know, I'm partly to blame. You know, I make a video, I'm like, oh, you know, I got 90,000 views or 90,000 followers and etc. And it's like, you know, you want the same. But, you know, obviously I've been doing this a long time. I'm in this kind of zone. I'm doing everything that I'm teaching, you know, so it puts me in a better position. Okay. And sometimes as a new creator or an upcoming creator or, you know, whatever page you have, personal brand, faceless brand, you then compare yourself to other accounts, to other creators. You know, I should be getting the same results. But in reality, the grass always looks green on the other side. But also, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You know, some accounts, they've got a whole team editing their videos. They have, you know, pumping a ton of money into it. You know, they're doing ads, they're doing this, they're doing that. You know, there's just tons of stuff. And then and in reality, we have no idea. Okay. So never never set your expectations based on someone else's results. Someone needs to quote me in the comments because that is a fire quote. And I don't know if that's like an official quote or not from someone else, but I've just come up with that. But trust me, if you're able to do that, even and like, you know, memorize that as a creator, the sky is the limit. To break down your goals into smaller pieces. If you are currently having 300 views on your content, like average, you know, 300 views, 200, 500. The goal is basically for you to get to 1,000 views, not to get to 1,000,000 views. Your goal now is to push to 1,000 views. And it's this barrier mindset. Okay, I need to pass this barrier. And if you're able to pass each barrier and set yourself a smaller goal, okay, now I need to get 1,000 views. It's going to make things so much like funner, so much more rewarding, so much more possible. Going from 200 views to 1,000,000 is a huge step. Okay. Set realistic, smaller goals into pieces. Obviously, the goal is 1,000,000 followers, but right now I'm this many. I need to get to 50K first. I need to do this. You know, these small wins accumulate and build momentum over time. Yeah, so each one is a realistic goal and it gets better and better. And then at the same time, you're in this kind of triangle, you're in this mindset of improve and adapt and etc. And this is really how you grow. Yeah, this is how you grow. These small wins accumulate and build a momentum over time, helping you build confidence as you progress. Remember, celebrate your success. In my communities, I have wins. And I always emphasize, a win can be anything. A win is your journey. A win is a win for you, not someone else. I might not put a win for 500 views, but if you've been stuck in 50, 100 views forever and you suddenly get 500, that's a win. Recognize that growth is a process, not an event. For your perspective, for a creative's perspective, fear of judgment or criticism is natural for beginners. Rejection is part of the learning and growing process. Focus on your own unique journey and trust the process. This is kind of an action plan, by the way. Step 1, focus on your own unique journey and trust the process. Set a small goal, e.g. posting consistently for a week. Celebrate consistency, not just the outcome. So even you celebrating posting, you celebrating being consistent is huge. And do you see how that transitions your mindset, transitions your the way you approach this business of growing your page? Because you're now celebrating the action steps, okay? And the action steps is what equals rewards. Quick summary. Once you shift your focus from fearing failure to seeing it as a part of your learning curve, you will move forward confidently. Take action on your first small goal and reflect on how you feel about the process, not the outcome. Everything is in your hands. I've got another 2 modules for mindset, which are key to growth. Please take note of them. Next up, we have escaping the social media black hole. So here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover setting clear boundaries, focus on purposeful consumption, use social media as a tool, not a time sink, for your perspective. So set clear boundaries. To avoid getting sucked into the social media black hole, it's crucial to set strict boundaries around your time online. Allocate a specific block of time for research, content inspiration, engagement with your followers. Social media, as we have learnt in the algorithm section, is designed to suck our time. It's literally, we go on there and the algorithm is literally trying to show us as much as possible to keep us on the platform. So, even us as creators, not consumers, will sometimes fall for that. And it can also lead us into a spiral of kind of comparing. Especially if you warm up your page properly, you will end up seeing competitors. And then it's like, this video is doing really well. Maybe we should do this, or I should do this, and then it starts kind of getting all this spiral. So doing this from a professional or a intentional mindset, you need to allocate a specific block of time for the following: research, content inspiration, engagement with your followers. Obviously, there's other things you can do as well. You need to allocate specific time to it. And it's difficult, but try to really stick to that, because it can be, again, this all points to the direction of burnout, and then having that kind of negative, feedback, from yourself, maybe if I do this, and then you start not trusting the process. This ensures that your time spent on social media aligns with your goals rather than mindlessly scrolling. If you're serious about growing, you'll be following steps, you'll be watching this video, you'll be creating content, you'll be doing a bunch of stuff. We don't have time to really be mindlessly scrolling. Of course, you can consume Instagram, but do that on your personal page, do that in your free time, and treat that as a different entity to what we're doing. Focus on purposeful consumption. Ask yourself these questions. How can this content inspire my next post? What valuable lesson can I take away from this? So on the flip side, let's say we're actually consuming content on our business or our proper page that we're trying to grow. If we're consuming, we need to do it for a reason. So ask yourself questions like this, how is this content inspiring my next post? Is this actually helping me? Is this,
For example, for me, if I go into it, I'll be like, is this a good video? Let me share it with my team. Maybe we can create that next. If I was editing the video myself, I would save it and next time I create a batch of content, I would, look at that video and maybe get inspiration from it. What valuable lesson can I take away from this? Sometimes, some of the people in my community, we've spoken about valuable lesson, from breaking down basically, what has made that video go viral, or why is it on my explore page? Can I, the same way I should be breaking down my videos, break down this viral video that's performing well? This hook seems really good. Okay, the comment section, people are commenting this. So we want to be consumers, but not consumers just sitting there scrolling mindlessly, but rather consumers of, inspiration, of feedback, similar to the previous lesson, all about feedback. But this time we're getting feedback from elsewhere. Remember, aim to absorb content that directly benefits your your creation process. Being creative is not easy, okay? It sounds easy, I'm going to make content, whatever, I'm going to paint a picture. Being creative is not easy because it requires you to really think out the box, to imagine, to pull things out that maybe you've never seen before, so for example, if you're repackaging a video or you're coming up with a new concept for your videos, it requires you to think outside the box. Maybe you've not seen it before. So it's going to take brain power. It's going to take energy. And if we start wasting our energy on useless content, we won't master this creation process. We won't get better at it. Yeah. Or it will be harder. I still have to remind myself, stop scrolling, stop doing this, And what I've actually started doing is, so for example, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I don't consume. Or if I do consume, for example, I do consume some YouTube, I have a separate device, like my, like an iPad that's logged into a completely different account that, I just consume my, sports videos or whatever stuff that I watch, and it's similar to, and for example, I won't consume Instagram. I'll maybe go on Reddit or something like that. So you can be intentional and maybe use other platforms so that they don't cross contaminate, your current goals of growing on Instagram. Okay. And I really, really think this will help so many of you if you're able to really start to treat this the right way. Okay. Use social media as a tool, not a time sink. We're trying to use social media to grow our pages so that we have more time to potentially quit our 9-to-5, to focus on our business, to build our personal brand, whatever it is. So why are we wasting time into it to not achieve or to progress these goals? Okay. Social media should serve your goals, not distract you from them. Take a moment, and I paused on purpose, to really think about that. Social media should serve your goals, not distract you from them. If you use TikTok, go on TikTok to get inspiration for your Instagram page. Set clear goals for your time online. I'll use this time to insert your intention. So I'll use this time to find some ideas for my next videos. I'll use this time to come up with some scripts. I'll use this time to look for some hooks, for some thumbnails, whatever it is. Have a purpose. For you, for a creator's perspective, avoid getting stuck in endless content consumption. Consumption should fuel creation, not replace it. Overconsumption leads to burnout and procrastination. Exactly. Set a schedule for consuming and creating content. Use timers to track social media usage. So on your phone, it tells you how much time you are spending, and there's features in iPhones. I'm not sure about Android, but I'm sure there is, because there's even more features that can limit you or tell you, once you've reached a certain amount of time on TikTok or Instagram, etc. And that can be super useful. Be disciplined with the time spent on content creation. Understand how you are as a person and understand that you are trying to do this the right way. Quick summary, be intentional about how you spend your time on social media. Set a timer for your content consumption time, and after it's up, immediately switch to creating. This will help you stay on track and avoid distractions. Be intentional. The next module is key.
If any of this section is really hitting hard, or you're starting to really gain some insight into it, or have your own journey or insight to share with others, drop it in the comments now. Let's get something going where we're inspiring each other on this journey to achieve growth on our Instagram accounts, which will be life changing, and that we can come back to, that we can do amazing things with. Drop it now.
Burnout. One of the reasons most people quit. Navigating burnout culture for creators. I've saved probably one of the best aspects of this whole course until last, because burnout is why a lot of us won't grow on social media. Okay. Here's what we're going to cover. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Take regular breaks. Focus on long-term sustainability for your perspective. Set realistic expectations for yourself. Now, we already talked about this earlier, but it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to do it all. I am an absolute expert at this. You know, I'm not one of those gurus that says you can work 1 hour a week and achieve everything in life. I'm not a guru, in fact, at all. But, you know, I work a lot. You know, I do love working. You know, I've got goals. I'm busy. But often it can lead me to, you know, trying to do everything. You know, and even like working in the faceless space, you know, with so many pages and teaching people, and yeah, like, you know, sometimes I'll be like, I need to start this page, I need to try this, I need to do that, and even with like YouTube and being a creator and all of this stuff, like, you just end up similar to shiny object syndrome, you know, wanting to do it all. Okay, and it's important for us to avoid doing this and to take time on certain things. Okay, because when you put too much pressure on yourself, things become so much less enjoyable, and it becomes a burden. It becomes a chore. Of course, you know, what I do is work. I'm getting paid to, you know, even this video, I'll get paid for views, this, that. But, you know, if I don't enjoy it, like if I, you know, it makes everything much harder. Okay. And by us putting too much pressure and trying to do everything, it can lead to burnout. And to be honest, I did have a period on YouTube last year, where I did burn out. I was posting every week. I was really on everything, but I was working so much and trying to do everything. And yeah, it just led to a bit of a burnout, and it happens, you know, I see it all the time. And it's, you know, and it's fine to understand that it happens, that it can happen, that it might have already happened, that you might be feeling that now. But it's important for us to understand that we are human, that we can get through it, and that you instead just need to set realistic expectations for yourself based on your available time and energy. So if you are working a 9 to 5, if you have kids, if you are busy, if you are a beginner, whatever situation you're in, you need to, and which is why I said earlier, don't compare like too much and focus on your journey, etc. Because this will then be much easier to do, and you won't burden yourself with trying to be something that you want. Okay, so set realistic expectations for yourself based on your available time and energy. Yeah, as I said, you never know what's happening behind another account. They might have 5, 6 editors working on those videos that enable them to post 2-3 times a day or once a day, but the video is insane. Like, you don't know. And you trying to compete or be that account is wrong. Be you and focus on what you can do with your available time and energy. Which is why sometimes, you know, I'm not a big fan of, you know, everyone's always asking me, you know, what niche should I do?
or what type of page on Instagram should I do, or what type of business, like me telling you what to do is wrong. Yes, I can give you suggestions, the path, etc. But essentially, all of these factors matter for like whether you're going to burn out or not. Okay, because if I tell you something that's super time consuming and very competitive, etc., then you won't be doing this. Here's a sample of a realistic goal. Aim for consistent posting schedule, like 3 times per week to begin, and then improve. Obviously, the platform wants us to post 20 times a day. I recently saw there's a post, I think based in India, that a page that posts 100 times a day or something. It was like a Mr. Beast video or something. And the algorithm is fine with it. But what matters with consistency and being realistic or posting is about posting when you can long term. So the algorithm would rather you post 3 times a week, every week, long term, than you post 20 times this week and then take a 3-week break because you burn out. Okay, so it's better for us to start with 3 a week, increase to 4. If it's sustainable, if we have a team or it's working for us, or we've got a good system, we're doing batch content, increase it. Create a content plan that allows flexibility for busy days. You can't do it every day, which is why I say sometimes do batch prepare, or just take the day off. I remember when I first started YouTube, or I got into a mindset, or I read some stuff like you need to post every week. And I was like, every week it was like, whilst being busy with all my other stuff, I was like, you have to post. And it was like, and then I realized, wait, I don't need to post every week. This is more YouTube, obviously slightly different to Instagram, but it's like, then I became flexible and realized that it's better for me to actually build a sustainable business and be sustainable myself, my mindset, and to just post when I can. There will be periods where I post more often, others where slightly less, but overall, I'm able to deliver that high quality content that I want rather than just becoming a machine. But obviously, if my goals are different, then, but it's important for us to be flexible with ourselves. Take regular breaks. Remember, rest is just as important as creation. The same point as creativity. Without rest, you can't be creative. Okay, so all these new videos that you're seeing, like this course, the next videos that I'm going to post on YouTube, without me taking like some time off recently, I wouldn't have been able to create this video. I wouldn't have been able to put resources into it, my mind to it, and to build this, because this is what I wanted to do. Prioritize activities that recharge you, whether that's spending time with loved ones, practicing hobbies outside of social media, or taking a nap. It's simple. Balance this. Yeah. Obsession is great. I want to grow. I'm going to grow. Great. At the same time, balance it. Okay. And I don't mean you need to suddenly start picking up hobbies or suddenly start doing a crazy stuff outside. No. But just understand your body and mind and give them an opportunity to do something else. The power of suddenly thinking about something else and then coming back to a task again, feeling refreshed, the creativity goes up for me every time. That's why I love going to the gym. I don't go to the gym to get huge or anything like that. I go to the gym more so to re-energize my mind and body. Consistent breaks will help keep your passion alive without draining your creative energy. This is a creative business. Creative energy is key. And there are times I can feel my creative energy on a low battery. Yeah. I need to recharge it. And for many years, I would actually force myself, even at low battery, just keep going. But, it's important, I've realized, to make sure that you recharge. For those workaholics out there, some of you might be watching this and be a workaholic. Don't be afraid to take the foot off the pedal slightly sometimes. Okay. Focus on long-term sustainability. Avoid the all or nothing mentality. Focus on building a sustainable approach where you can keep creating, engaging, and growing without overwhelming yourself. The same people that say go all in are the same people that say work 1 hour a week, but don't have a clue. It's all about balance. Okay. I am relentless. Like, I'm relentless with my goals. I'm going to achieve this. And then it's like about doing it. But that doesn't mean I wake up and it's like, boom, sometimes it is, but avoid the all or nothing mentality. Focus on building a sustainable approach. I need to be able to do this in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Anything I do, it's building my faceless pages. I'm building long-term digital assets. I'm not building them so I make $20 tomorrow. My goal is always long-term, sustainable, trying to better myself for the future. Instead, think of your Instagram page as a long-term business venture, not a sprint. As I just said, it's almost like I know what's coming. For a creator's perspective, avoid overworking. Hustle without rest leads to fatigue and creativity loss. Success comes from pacing and prioritizing well-being. Create a balanced schedule, work time, personal time. Plan at least 1 day a week to disconnect completely from work. So for me, I work 6 days a week, sometimes 7. But Sundays, I try to do I do try on Sundays to have just a rest day completely, like just to disconnect. Sometimes I do check my phone and stuff, but I really try to have a day where it's like, okay, today the priority is something different. Even though I want to work, I love working, I love what I do, but you just need it. Okay, so at least 1 day a week, play games, do whatever you want. Okay, because trust me, it will help you. Be disciplined, don't be fooled by people that say don't play games, don't do this, don't do that. Obviously, like everything is about balance. Be disciplined with the time spent on resting. Quick summary, burnout is preventable. It will happen, I'm sure, at some point, to me, to everyone, but it is preventable and we can learn from it. I've burnt out quite a few times and I've learned from it, which is why I've dedicated a section of this course to this, because I know that this is a huge factor. And often as creators, we're just like talking about certain things, but this is a key principle that often gets ignored. Create a self-care plan that includes regular breaks and a time off from social media. Stick to it and track how you feel after each break. The funny thing about all of this, like the mindset stuff, is that all the top marketers and people know that this is super important. Yeah. But, if we make a video about it, if we talk about it, like no one appears to care. Yet it's so super important, like more important than so many other elements. And I hope that, if you're watching this, that you are able to take something from this final section as well. As trust me, I want my number one goal, honestly, hand on heart, is that you can keep doing this sustainably, because consistency is the number one factor on social media growth. Consistency. Burnout will stop you being consistent. Burnout is preventable. All of this is about understanding who you are, understanding what you can do to help yourself on this journey. We're all human, but we're extremely smart creatures, and we can do so much. You have done amazingly to get to this point of the course. Now we're about to jump into a few different things. Now, one of the most important aspects of social media is, drumroll, content creation. Now, obviously, I've gone through a bunch of different technical aspects like the algorithm, also giving you some actionable steps that you can integrate right now today. But content creation, the way we edit our content, the content we choose to post is super important. Now, of course, on my channel, I post a lot of content creation videos. And the reason I do that is because, first of all, every video would be repetitive if I just made it all about Instagram or about a certain topic. But content creation is one of the key factors. So learning how to edit, learning how to improve our content is key. So that's why I wanted to introduce you to my new free school community, which is called Grow with Alex, as you guessed. Now, essentially, this is a transition from my Discord, which has over 50,000 members, to School. And the reason we're doing that, so what you see right now is actually still in beta as I record this. This is kind of beta, but it will be slightly different as you see this. But we're going to go through essentially what you'll have access to. Now, we just discussed content. One of the first things you will see here is the content creation guides. So what School allows us to do compared to other platforms like Discord, etc., is it allows me to catalog all of my content. So if you press content creation, you will see all of my content creation guide, which is extremely useful when it comes to, editing, when it comes to creating your content, whatever style you want. I've made so many different styles of content, and you can get access to them, watch them all right here. And you can see that there's also a description telling you exactly what's going to be in there, etc. So, creating content is so important, as we've mentioned, and I'm going to always be making YouTube videos about this. But we over time will be cataloging more and more, making sure that whoever is in this free community, can just access resources quickly. Now let's jump into a few other things. As I said, this is going to focus on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, marketing, etc. So all of my Instagram stuff is cataloged in here as well. And this is tons of free resources right here that are insane value for you. And you can press one and see, okay, why choosing a niche is, you're passionate about makes all the difference. And you can see what, it's important, I could have my YouTube playlist, etc. But this is going to basically give you a rundown quickly what the video is about so that you can decide if you want to watch it or not. Okay. So this is going to fast track everything for you. And then the same with TikTok, YouTube. I've got a bunch of faceless YouTube and YouTube videos, more coming out as well. And one of the main things is the free resources. So we are constantly giving away free resources, whether it's B-roll clips, which is free luxury clips or different clips for your YouTube, for your Instagram, TikTok videos. So here you can see I'm giving away all of these gameplay, luxury kind of clips. They're all categorized here, so making it super useful for you to just access things. When I get new stuff, I just add it in here, make an announcement in here, and it's win-win for everyone. I've got my free ebooks, other guides. We have tools, which is all kind of for you. I'm not affiliated to any of them. My challenges, which I do in videos, 30-day challenge, which is super useful for anyone who wants to so as I said earlier, anyone who wants to kind of take things, what we've discussed in this video, this document right here is how I managed to go from 0 to 50,000 followers from scratch in 30 days. And it goes through kind of all the different things that we did on that account. And I really think if you are able to utilize what we discussed in this video or this course, along with this 30-day challenge, you are literally on a path to success. And then, of course, if you join the free community, which, going on to the next thing, we'll have this community section here where it's almost like a forum style if you've not used School before. But it's super useful to ask questions, to answer questions, to do polls, ask people about this logo. What do you think of my content? Obviously, we want to respect the rules. I'll have that up there. But it's going to be a place for us to grow with Alex, but grow together as a community. And it's going to be super useful. One of the things when I was an early creator was I didn't have much feedback from people. So I had to guess a lot of the stuff. But having feedback makes your life so much easier. So I really recommend joining. And then each month I will have a live webinar as well, where I do a live session with everyone in here, and that will be in the calendar section. And then finally, we have the leaderboards. So as you answer questions, as you participate in the community, you will get access to exclusive things, whether that's new clips, whether that's content, whatever it is. I'm going to be adding stuff. I'm going to be doing challenges. So I really recommend joining Grow with Alex on School right now. And the link is in the description. I just want to thank you for being here, being a viewer. If you are a long-term subscriber, I really want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching my videos, for liking, for commenting and anything. And when I made this video, or I've made this course, I just wanted to give back. Like me and my team have put so much effort into this video. I mean, you can probably tell from the video, like we recorded it over so long, over so many days, and I wanted it to just be impactful, straight to the point. I could have made a 10-hour one, but this I think is the right one for now. And yeah, if you have any ideas for other videos or other courses, monetization, content creation, reels, TikTok, whatever, I have a lot of experience in a lot of different things. And yeah, and I really want to thank you for being here. If you would be ever so kind and drop a like or share this with a friend or subscribe to my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. But if you want to watch some more stuff and not go to the school, then I recommend this content creation playlist right now, or this Instagram playlist, which is all about growth. Now, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. And I hope you can change your life with Instagram, because anything is possible when you take action. Let's grow.